All right, welcome everybody to the Myth Podcast, episode number, I think it's 10. Today we'll be continuing our historical retrospective series and celebration of Myth's greatest tradition, the Myth World Cup. In this episode, we will be covering Myth World Cup 2011 finals. I am GKG. I'm joined by my co-host Asmo, and we're joined by special guest Kirk. Kirk, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
So Kirk, one thing I wanted to ask you is before we kind of kickstart things, what episodes, if any, have you already watched from the podcast? Just so we kind of have an idea of what you're coming into this episode with.
Yeah, so I just learned recently that these were being done, and I was able to watch the one from 2008 when I was on Armageddon. So that was a great finals as well. I went into sudden death overtime. I skipped through a little bit of some of it. I mean, these are pretty lengthy, but it was really good content and everything. I think this will make some great content for anybody wanting to look back and see what happened in the finals and everything.
Gotcha. Okay, so just so you know, we also had an episode, and we didn't even do a finals. We didn't even cover a finals match that episode, but it was just Honkey and Monty with us, and we were talking about 2010 and 2011, just kind of like the drama going on and like how the teams formed those years. Yeah, we talked a little bit with Honkey. You just mentioned about Honkey wasn't in these finals for 2011. He was going through some personal issues, but yeah, we kind of talked about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely so much that happened behind the scenes that kind of probably got forgotten about over these years. But I remember when Honky was originally trying to set up this team, he came to me and was like, "Hey, I want to play with you on Myth World Cup." And at the time, Honky wasn't really the most stellar player, so I'm thinking, what team is he trying to put together? But I see he's got Ghengis, Parish, and then abs and everything. And then he says, "How do you feel about playing with GKG?" And I'm like, you know what? I don't care. I'm a teammate. If he wants to play with me, that's cool. And then you and I set aside our differences, and we made it happen.
Yeah, just so everybody knows like our history, like you and I actually were friends, pretty good friends for like a couple of years. I don't know when exactly. I was still in the military at the time, like probably like '06 to '08. I want to say somewhere in that time frame. And then we had some beef for like a year or two prior to all this, like maybe even like 2 or 3 years. I don't remember, but maybe like 2 years max. And I had beef with Parish too, and I talked about this also with Honky in that episode. But like, yeah, I mean, one thing I always respected about you, and I respect about anybody really, is like even if we have beef, like if you're able to put it aside, especially just like have a thick skin and put it aside, like it's always I always appreciate people like that. It's yeah. So we were able to do that. Never had any issues teaming with one another. And yeah, like you said, you and there's several other players that come to mind who have a reputation of like maybe they they have a lot of they talk a lot of shit publicly, and maybe people have concerns about teaming with them, but can always like shelve any potential beef when like never any issues teaming with that person like ever. And I think people are shocked to hear that, because like I had a lot of people thought that I was difficult to team with too, like, right? Because if you talk a lot of shit, everybody's gonna have that impression. It's understandable. But there's I would say you, me, some other players out there. Never there might be we might have like a lot of drama publicly, but like never hear a peep of any issues teaming with us on a team. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've got F7 pulled up on game one here. I'm looking at the player list. There is not a single person in this game that I didn't have beef with at some point or another. But you know what? That's kind of been like the hidden gem about Myth, is just the fact that we have a community that like literally everybody knows each other, right? Like we're so close knit, but we still talk shit about each other. It's like Tainted Bliss's famous meme of welcome to Myth, now get the fuck out
Yeah,
kind of thing.
yeah.
But yeah, like it kept things refreshing. It kept things competitive. There was always that unranked game going on, like Order of H-Pack. They would always play like passworded games. You had to play by their rules and never swear or anything. Like, who wants to do that shit? So we kept it real. And I forget I think it was the first, no, I think it was the second QR round in this Myth World Cup. You had given me directions on what to do. Remind me again, what's that one map with Stampede where there's like 5 flags on each side and it's just like wide open? You know which one I'm talking about?
Asmo would have a better idea. I'm terrible at remembering maps as well. Asmo, do you have any idea?
I'm trying to think. Is it?
It sounds vaguely familiar,
It's
but
literally like you can just stampede across the map, and like it's literally more of a race than it is a strategy. But anyway, I totally fucked up my assignment because I didn't read the notes that you sent out, and that basically pissed you off. So the very next game, you told me to sit out. I didn't say a fucking word. I didn't complain. Didn't say anything. I sat out, took it like a man, came back, and I think that was a good moment between us. Just understanding that, hey, this is all for the team. If you're not going to take the time to read these strategies and everything, like it's not going to work out. So it was nice to get that out of the way first before we got deeper into the championship.
interesting. Yeah, I don't remember that actually, but I do remember. What I do remember is I remember like that I wanted to give the team feedback every week so that we could continue to improve as a team throughout the tournament. I thought that was very important. And I remember like, I hope Kirk and Parish don't take this like quote unquote constructive feedback the wrong way. But yeah, no, you never had any issues with either of you. Yeah, you weren't the only one. I do remember Paris having some issues with like directions on some stuff, and everybody like would get upset with me sometimes. Like people would talk shit about like I'm taking the game too seriously. But here's the little known fact that people don't understand is like the reason I get pissed about shit like that is like, and Asmo can sympathize with me on this one. Like as the captain, we put so many fucking hours of preparation into that shit, and then it's like all of it poof out the fucking window. And it's like, god damn it, So yeah, it can just be frustrating in those moments.
You don't want to play damage control from the first second of the game right after you just
exactly
whatever.
Exactly, like all your plans and like like all that work you put in is just like now you gotta like throw it out the window and just like work from scratch. Like totally, yeah. It's what you mentioned though, Kirk, like I'm the exact same way. Like you and I are like eye to eye on this. 100% is like if I fuck up, I just own it hard and like you said, take it like a man and just like own up to it and push forward. Like you everybody fucks up in this game. It's not. I feel like a lot of Myth players take it too personally. It's like literally everybody fucks up. You can be the best fucking player in the game. Everybody fucks up, and it's like some days you'll have off days just because you're not feeling it. Maybe you're short on sleep, whatever. And some days you'll be on fire, And it's just the nature of the game, and you just gotta kind of like roll with the punches,
It is crazy to think that there is a ceiling of Myth skill that none of us have even come close to. Just because there's so much room for improvement, like microing, like it's just you get to the point where we as humans can only do so much to manipulate this game. Like you see a lot of other games where maybe it's like a racing game or something, and you can pretty much maximize it every single time. You have thousands of people running at the same time, but like this, it's infinite variables. There's so many different strategies. It's all about the microing, and you can't quit at any given time. Like if you stop for 1 second to micro, that could be the game right there. So it's just crazy that a game that came out so long ago can age so well because of where the like the skill ceiling was. And it's got a steep learning curve. And something that I thought about recently was, why wasn't this game more popular? You know, the people that stuck around, why are we still so loyal to it? Well, I think a lot of the people that didn't have the patience to learn this game, or maybe deal with some of the attitudes in the multiplayer realm, they just kind of gave up on it because it wasn't really conducive of learning, you know?
Yeah, totally agree. This was something that was debated heavily, kind of in the like mid to late 2000s, I would say. Like, I don't know if y'all remember, like, to me that was like the height of like the old mythers versus, new age mythers or whatever, like people arguing if people were better and like earlier myth because there's more players and activity, or later myth. I always was heavily on the side, like you described, like we haven't even scratched the surface of this game yet. Like there's so much more to understand, and like a lot of other people thought like the game had already been figured out, and I always heavily disagreed with that. And I think you can't get better at the game if you think you've already figured it all out. You know what I mean? I just, and I think this is an important mindset just for life in general, whether it's your career or whatever. If you think you're already like hot shit at something, you're not gonna keep growing and getting better in that thing. And so like regardless of how good you are or how well you do actually have it figured out, like it's always about getting better, in my opinion. I don't know. That's my attitude about it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, the strategies of giving everyone, like say if you're playing Tro, like in 1999, you'd give one person all the Tro, one person all the Mercs and everything, and just how like the unit trading has evolved over the years, the splits and everything. Yeah, everything has just evolved to be so much more strategic, smarter. So even though players back then were more active and they were good at the strategy they did back then, the game evolved to get better and better. So not only did you have to have those skills, you had to have the mindset, um, and the other strategy behind it as well.
Yeah, 100%. I think the community has reached a healthier consensus about this debate after, another 10, 15 years or whatever of debating it or talking about it, which is like, I do agree, like the BC skills, maybe like, so like people's like 1v1 ability, like kind of individual play was probably maxed out earlier on, and the activity and everything probably favored was helpful for that back then. But as you mentioned, I just think the team play dynamic is, there's just so much more complexity to it, and it's so much deeper, and that part definitely, there's a lot of room for improvement still in that regard. And I always imagine too, like if you could imagine like there was a successor to this game, and if the successor to this game increased in scale from like, say, like in myth we have 8 versus 8 is the max you can do for two team. If you imagined it went up to like 16v16, imagine how much even deeper and more complicated all those team skills would get. Like you just keep increasing the scale, it's just going to get more complicated, and there's just more depth to it, and it's just like almost infinite. I think it's almost impossible to have it fully figured out.
Yeah, definitely. And like, give credit to Project Magma and anybody else that's been, updating the game over the years, keeping it relevant. Anybody who's taken upon themselves to open their own myth server, the Discord and everything. Like nobody had to do any of that. But somebody has always stepped in and saved the game just when you thought it was completely extinct. Um, you could have said that the game was extinct whenever Playmouth went down. Well, that was shit, what, 16, 17 years ago, and here we are, still rolling.
There you go, folks. Kirk giving a big shout out, some love to the Project Magma guys. Who knew, right?
Yeah, it's 2024. It's not 2004. Just
So how involved are you in myth now, Kirk? I know you are doing co-op sometimes. When I know you don't play multiplayer much, do you still watch games? What's your activity on myth?
yeah, I like to get on, just kind of use it as a leisure thing. something I don't really talk about a whole lot. You probably think I'm bullshitting, but I actually did have an injury back in about 2013. Um, Injured my neck, and it really caused some issues with my nerves and everything. So I literally did switch to playing left-handed. And let me tell you how frustrating it is. Like even after playing left-handed for the past 10 years or so, I still don't have anywhere near like the quick speed that I used to. I had to remap my keyboard. Um, so yeah, it's been quite a bit. And I mean, solo and co-op, I can do just fine. But like when it comes to multi or like 1v1 or anything like that, I misclick. I can't select things as quickly as I could, and it's frustrating. So I really kind of just got away from the whole competitive aspect of Myth, and just try to enjoy like all the new plugins coming out, co-op and everything, and just getting a group of guys and just trying to figure out how to beat these difficult maps.
Interesting. Yeah, everybody kind of wondered why you kind of dropped off the competitive scene. I mean, you made appearances here and there a little bit, but um, yeah, you got heavily into the co-op. Which, by the way, I'm a co-opper as well. We never really played the same type of co-op, but um, I think the co-op side of the game is also still pretty interesting.
I think that deserves a podcast of its own sometime, like going over all the different co-ops, because the plugins and everything are so in depth out there, and then you've got your hardcore Myth guys that will only play like native plugins and everything. It's like, why don't these guys want to venture outside of that at all? Like, there's so much good content out there that they're missing.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good idea. We probably will get around to doing some of that at some point. Maybe we maybe have you back to help us cover like maybe some speedrunning aspects of Myth, something like that. Like do like a speedrunning episode or something. Because I don't know much about it, but I'm sure there's some good history behind all that.
Yeah, definitely. I can get and try and get Hades on here. Maybe even Jarl will join us, because I don't know, that dude must be retired. He's been playing Myth nonstop for like the past 10 years, like every single day. He's a freaking machine.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you got injured in 2013. I actually wanted to ask you this. We formed a very similar Bullz team in 2012. I don't actually recall what happened. Like, why did you not return in 2012? What was going on with you then?
I'm really not even sure, to be honest with you. Yeah, I can't really even remember what was going on at the time, but maybe I just was satisfied with the 2011 win, just kind of wanted to just go off and do my own thing. I can't really remember what the circumstance was.
You didn't play that year not on another team, did you? I don't think so, but
No, I didn't play at all.
yeah, okay.
I want to say that like after 2011, didn't NC just kind of disband and kind of go separate
Yes.
ways?
For the most part, yeah, they disbanded for a while, and then they kind of reformed here and there every now and then, I think, yeah.
Yeah, there was a NC team in 2012, but I would say it was much more or much less NC than in former years. They had like
Gotcha.
captain a few other people.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Oh, the other thing I wanted to mention, we were talking a little bit about kind of the unique nature of the myth community. It kind of reminded me of a discussion, Asmo, I don't know if you remember this, the discussion we had with Dak, talking about how like the myth community, especially the competitive side of the myth community, kind of really instills, it kind of like makes you or breaks you. Like you have to have a really thick skin to survive in the competitive community in myth, I would say, because it's so like close and intimate. It's a small community for one, and then we talked a little bit about how like people have their own like unique screen names and colors, and like it's just much more memorable, and you play in the same lobbies, and you repeat game, like there's not a matchmaking system where like you're just teamed with anonymous people in a huge community where you're never gonna like play with those people again. Like in myth you will play you will often play not just a single game, but a series of games with the same group of players, right? And it just kind of fosters a kind of more intimate competitiveness, I guess, for lack of a better term. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, like I mentioned earlier, I think the reason that the people that like Myth, they realize once you get beyond the initial learning curve and realize how fun and in depth it is, and if you can get beyond, the shit talking and the hazing and all that sort of thing, like it's a freaking awesome game. Like I said, we could have played this game, played this game for what, 26 years or so, and just thinking of all the different combinations and game types and stuff that maybe have never even been played,
Yeah.
because there's just infinite amount of combinations and this or that. And obviously over the years, based on like popularity, like balls on parade or captures, not very popular game types there. So, but like I did like the King of the Map edition. Like that was really cool. I thought that was a good way to get, refresh, like all the native maps and everything, and just add like a different element to it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think with Myth, I mean, it's just like the community is so unique, and like some older games are similar, but like still not the same. But video games are just different now. Like you're playing with the same players every day, every week. You play the same guys in the same tournaments. Like real rivalries are created. Like modern day games, you just match against random people, right? So it's just like
Right.
you gaining points. There's no like you don't build up like those rivalries, like the interpersonal things going on. Like Myth is a different animal when it comes to competitive play for sure.
Yeah, I feel like I never graduated beyond Myth as far as like newer games, because I just thought all the newer games, it was all graphics and visual focused and like instant gratification. Um, this was more like, looking at this game, like to me, like the graphics and everything look awesome, but somebody else, they might think, oh, that looks like crappy. Like you can see the pixels and it's not even 3D or, this or that. But those are the same people that don't appreciate like that's exactly why this game is so challenging, and that's why it's so, um, it's so difficult to master.
Totally agreed. I did have some questions, just a couple questions that I ask everybody that I wanted to get into before we kind of dive into this match. So yeah, these are just a couple questions I always ask everybody. First, we're kind of going out of order because we kind of already had a big discussion, but I still want to get to them. First question is, I always like to ask everybody, what year did you first start playing Myth? How old were you? And what was kind of your origin story with starting the game?
Yeah, you want me to go there?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I initially started playing the game in 1998. I was over at my friend's house, and his dad was actually playing this game, and we were just standing there watching him. So I would have been maybe like 10, going on 11, something like that. Um, and I like the visuals of it and everything. So um, we hopped in, started playing around, and I don't know. I didn't really take to it much. And at the time, like there was already rumors about like a new one coming out. Of course, that didn't happen for like a few years or something. So my friend at the time was just like, "Yeah, just wait till the new one comes out." But I would go over at his house, start playing it, and he was able to make me a copy of it. So I took it home, started playing it. Mostly just played offline co-op. Just trying to go through like all the difficulties and everything. And then whenever third party started getting big, like World War II, I pretty much hit that hard and abandoned like regular Myth, because again, going back to like the steep learning curve and like the egos at the time, like being 10 or 11 years old at the time, um, wasn't really a conducive environment. And the vast majority of Mythers when I was that age were a lot older than me. So um, a lot easier for them to pick on the young kid, of course. So,
Right.
so I did World War II for a few years mostly. I did Raid a lot, and then I really didn't get into Reg Myth until like 2003. I really hit the tro maps hard, and then I just kind of started evolving from there.
Was your friend that so was a friend that introduced you to the game, were they older? Or do you have any idea how they found out about the game?
So, like I said, my friend's dad is the one who played it.
Okay, gotcha.
It is a household name. The reason I'm gonna not mention it is we had a really bad falling out, like me, my friend, and his whole family. Um, but yeah, like he was a household name, and we used his account. Like when we went online, like we played under his name and everything, which included actually some some Myth World Cup games, believe it or not. So. Um, but yeah, my friend was not the greatest. But when I first started, like he would always shit talk and tell me how much I sucked and everything. And that just gave me motivation just to get so much better than him. And like when I actually got better and was kicking his ass all the time, he ended up just quitting because he was just a whiny crybaby. And he carried that over into like our personal lives too. And like he didn't want to hang out with me anymore. Like he just kept talking shit. He was so jealous.
Interesting. Okay. And when you say household name, you're saying that he would be a name that the myth community recognizes. That's why you don't want to mention it.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, gotcha.
So
Go
you're
ahead.
telling me Kirk was a part of the first retirement match, huh?
uh,
Yeah, which one was that one?
The one where you beat your friend and he quit.
Oh yeah. Um, no, I don't know. He was never that great at regular myth. Like we played a lot of World War II and Civil War. I love those plugins. Those were kind of the untapped plugins of myth back then. But yeah, good times, good memories, and everything.
so you started playing in '98 with Myth 2, and the new game you were talking
Yep.
about was Myth 3 that was supposed to be coming out, right?
Yeah, I don't think it actually came out till like '01.
Right.
Um, but I think because there was such a quick turnaround from TFL to Myth 2, it was like I think it was going like I think it was fall of like '98, right?
Yeah.
Is when
Yeah,
Myth 2
yeah.
came out. And for whatever reason, they were like, "Oh no, Myth 3 is going to be coming out. Might as well just wait till the new
Right.
one comes out." Um, but I ended up getting a copy anyway, and then I just kind of rolled with it. Obviously, Myth 3 was a dud, so
Right. So it was like starting in '98, it was like 2 or 3 years of just like single player on your own for the most part. Is that right? And then a few years of WW2 after that until Regmyth in '03. Is that about right?
pretty much, yeah. Like I played Reg Myth, but I wasn't really. Um, I was more of just like a BCer, like a hate player, versus trying to learn the game of like how to win an FFA, how to win, um, like as a team player and that sort of thing.
Nah, a hate player? Nah, I would never expect you to do
Yeah,
that.
you never would have guessed that from me.
It's maybe foreshadowing back then. Okay. Um, Next question, like what was your first MWC? Like that you like not just like played very loosely, but like full like would you say fully participated in?
Well, I did actually play in '98 and '99.
Really?
However,
Oh, okay.
not as me. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
Um, and then I didn't care about it for a few years. In let's see, yeah, I skipped '01, and then '02 was never realized, and then '03 we formed Shitlist. So that was me and Eric.
Gotcha.
He was my bro at the time, and then we got Zagan, Olympus, and a whole bunch of other like haters in one team. But I got banned, so that didn't work out. And then the following year, Enigman, Thalander, we teamed up for Ghetto Cakes. I think I played one round and then I got banned again. And then I was pretty much banned for the next couple of years. Like I would just get on as guest or dummy accounts. Um, and then I didn't play. I don't think I participated in MWC until Armageddon in '08. Because they Plymouth, you can ask Cryptos, but they were able to somehow ban my IP or like at least the region I lived in.
Oh,
So
I think I
I
remember
could not.
this. Yeah.
Yeah, I could not register for a Myth account. No matter like I tried doing it at like my grandpa's house. I tried doing it at a friend's house. Like it just it wouldn't let me online. That whatever they did was some
I remember this. So,
bullshit.
what year was that? Do you remember? Was it '08 or but prior to '08?
No, that would have been like '05.
Okay.
Yeah, around '05 ish.
Okay, that sounds about right. I remember a little bit from that. So, what I remember is Grim, who was like the regular TO or yeah TO of MWCs around this period, he was really trying to crack down on dummying, and he worked with who knows some techies from either the server or Magma or whoever, and they created a tool that tracked all the IPs that particular accounts logged in as so that they could nail you, I think, not just on one IP, but like every IP you've ever used for that account. And like Grim came out with a like a list where he proved who was which accounts actually did dummying. Like he had it proven out or whatever based on what accounts had shared IPs like across accounts, right? And that I remember him cracking down on it, and like they did a ban, like a heavy-handed ban using that tool, which both identified the dummies and then also was able to ban them based on IPs. And then that lasted, I think, for maybe a couple of years or something. And eventually, I think they had to undo it because it was too heavy handed and it was starting to block legitimate players from being able to access their accounts. Because, like, for example, if you had like two family members on the same in the same house, had two different accounts, like they would be seen as dummies, even though they're two legitimate different players, right? I think and there were some other issues I think going on with that tool that was like just it was banning legitimate players. So they had to undo it, but yeah, that's what you're describing there. I think it's the same incident.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And like a lot of other existing players that were in good standing in this community, they let me get on like one of their dummy accounts or like an old account that they didn't use anymore, and because they had been on that account, then they got their main account banned as well. So
Right.
I think in '07 they lifted that, and that's kind of when Myth kind of revitalized itself right before Plymouth. I think '07 was the last year of Plymouth, and then Marius kind of swooped in around '08, I think. Well, I think Marius was around, but Plymouth, the plug got pulled on it in like late '07. Correct me if I'm wrong there.
That sounds right. I'll This reminded me too of something else. I can't remember. I want to say it was 2010 because it would have been before you and I teamed again together. I'm pretty sure, but I thought you got banned again. Like Grim banned you from like the forums, the MWC forums maybe or something like that, or from participating in MWC. It was like even after all this, I want to say it was like somewhere around '09 or 2010. Does that sound familiar at all?
I can't remember that. I wasn't banned from the server, I don't think. I might have
Not the
been.
server, but like
Um,
MWC maybe, or the forums, MWC forums.
I can't recall, but that wouldn't surprise me.
Okay. I can't remember exactly what year it is, but I'm pretty sure it had to have been before 2011 because then we were cool again. And I remember this was like when you and I still had beef, and I just remember Grim banned you. Yeah, it was 2010. I'm almost positive because like there was a brief moment there that I tried to host MWC that year. It kind of got hot potatoed around, right? Like there was somebody before me that tried hosting it. I want to say it was Aki, um, and then he fell out, and then I tried to pick it up because Grim was like tired of hosting and everything. Like he had been tired of hosting for probably a couple of years at that point already, and then I tried to pick it up, and I was trying to use Toxin to put the website together for me, but then he kind of fell out. So then I withdrew because I didn't want to, like, Liger was willing to do it, but I didn't want to work with Liger. So I was like, no, I'm good on that. And then Grim picked it up again, and he was willing to work with Liger, and Liger put together the site that year, and I that must have been like the last year that had like a website, because we just mentioned that how 2011 didn't have one, just had a forums, but
Yeah, it was the last year of a good website. There was like a website in some other years, but like nothing compared to like the original Mithril Cup sites that had a bunch of statistics and teams and ratings, all that. It was like something pretty basic in a year after that.
yeah, gotcha. So I'm almost positive it was 2010, and it was after. So Grim picked up hosting again, and I actually don't mind Grim. I think Grim always has disliked me more than I did, quote unquote dislike. I would say I wouldn't even say I ever disliked Grim at all. I think he did a lot of good for the community, but that year, like we were just talking about with the IP bans, and in this particular case, he had banned you, Kirk. I guess from the forums and or MWC. I can't remember the exact details. He banned you for something from something, because you were talking a lot of shit, and yeah, you push some boundaries. You push some boundaries. It's fair to say, but I just remember stepping in there and defending you, and like, because I'm very against banning people in general. Like, again, it goes back to the whole like have a thick skin kind of thing. Like, it's like just because you don't like something doesn't mean it should be like. There's a difference between like something being like quote unquote immoral or like not cool, and like being to the point where you should like censor it and ban people for it. You know what I mean? That's a higher bar, a much higher bar to start banning people for. And like, I just remember being like, I may not like Kirk, but I definitely don't want to see him banned. That's kind of ridiculous. And I kind of stood up for you, and I took a lot of shit for that because Grim was very popular. He's got a lot of support behind him, and I was not very popular at the time, and probably never was really. But yeah, I just remember standing up for you on that, and kind of taking some shit for it. But yeah,
I am. Yeah, I'm vaguely remembering some of that now. I can't. It was really ticky tacky for like of all the shit that I've done and said over the years. This was like really.
yeah, yeah.
Again, I
It's like you had
can't.
done way worse prior. Yeah, yeah. I'm like, it was something. So, well, my issue too was like Grim had been hosting. He had been TOing for so long too. I think he started getting a little too comfortable with how much power he should exert over the community. And I remember saying like, look, if you're gonna do some heavy-handed moves like that, that's got to be something that's got to be discussed by the community, and there should be like a vote about it or something like that at the very least. This is not something that somebody should just unilaterally do. I've always been very against this. The myth community has a long history of like players taking a position of power and like really abusing the fuck out of that power. Whether that was like admins, server like moderators, server admins, or TOs, and I've always just really pushed against that. Like it hurts the community, and it just, yeah, it's, if you're gonna want to propose some heavy-handed stuff like that, there's got to be more of a democratic or some kind of consensus happening in the community before things like people just want to like exert and abuse the shit out of their power, basically, right? And it's really killed the community. I mean, over the years, it really has.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's why Marius Net, when it kind of stepped in whenever Bungie went down, like everybody quickly got out of that and went to Playmouth because it was
Exactly.
much more open. But then we had to go back to Marius, and it was still the same heavy hand, like you said, like with Vinyl Rake. Um, I think he and Grim were working together, like, and Grim, Grim and I had some issues going way back too. Like there was one game where. Um, it was 2008. We were playing Thundercocks, and there was like a glitch with the map, and they six flagged us, but it only showed five flags,
I remember that.
and we had a democratic vote on it, like, hey, what do we want to do with this? But then he went to the community and asked, and then of course everybody voted against us, so it completely messed up like our results of that round. So yeah, I didn't like that because it was more of like a we just all initially kind of agreed like, hey, we'll just chalk this one up as like a glitch and we'll just move on. But uh, I think it was because after the fact, like if they didn't count that match, we would have won that round. So Grim went back and said, well, let's ask the community. So that's really what spiraled everything out of control as far as like me not liking Grim. But I will go out and say like I agree with you. Like he would step in and do the tournaments when nobody else would, reluctantly. Obviously, like I can't blame him with all the shit you got to deal with and set up, and being available. I think that really went a long way in preserving Myth's greatest pastime. So
Yeah, I agree. I don't want to lump Grim in the same bucket as like no, Grim bad example. I don't want to mention his name in the same category as some of these other people we're talking about. Like cuz like you mentioned like the Marius Net server. Like yeah, it was so awful with the moderation over there. I mean, yeah, I got banned too, by the way, like permanently. Oh, and my ban is so funny. Like it was like so it was Blades, right? Who was like never around and like oh no, it was purple PPE. This was like post Blades. But Blades was from Marius Net too, was he not? Am I
no,
fucking it
no,
up?
Blades was Playmouth.
Playmouth,
So you're right
okay.
with PPE. He was never around
Yeah,
ever.
yeah, okay. So I'm curious. Yeah, I remember Playmouth not being as heavily moderated as Marius Net, but I also remember people having tons of issues with Blades. I don't remember the details behind all that, but I just remember like Blades had a pretty terrible reputation in the community. Do you guys remember anything
I,
about
I,
that?
I mean, I don't remember all the details, but I mean, I feel like both the servers are pretty strict. Like, I
Were
remember getting
they?
banned.
Yeah,
Yeah, I got
okay.
banned from Playmouth from using like a swear word, like not even directed towards someone, and I got banned for like a week for it.
Gotcha. Okay. I might. Yeah. You're probably right. I think I was misremembering stuff. Stuff. Yeah. That sounds familiar. Yeah. People were complaining a lot about the moderation on Playmouth with Blades too. Yeah. With Marius Net, it was like Marius Net was started by Marius and Connor, as I recall, and those guys were, as far as I remember, cool as fuck. Nobody ever had issues with them. They were just like tech guys that built the shit and like stay out of the community's way, kind of thing. And then eventually like PPE took over hosting it, and then I think it got like a lot more heavy handed. And then of course famously, like the whenever OM showed up, which was later discovered to be Vinyl Rake, like that whole era of moderation is just like it's still like it just sounds like even my memory is like just awful. Like that, like man, that guy killed so much during his time moderating things, and I got a lifelong ban in the forums because like PPE said something to the effect of if you swear one more time, like him and I were going back and forth, and it's like if you swear one more time, I'll ban you. And of course, I take the bait, and and then that's I think this was around 2010 too, and then that's when I created that dummy account called Baby Chesty, if people remember that at all. That was like the
No, I
one.
remember.
That was the one dummy I ever used. It was because I was banned on my main account on MariusNet. So yeah. To give some more love to Grim though, yeah, Grim did a lot more good for the community. Not trying to beat up on him too much. And I was a raging asshole. I should totally own up to that. Like when I was saying this shit to Grim, I was being as antagonistic as possible, of course, and I was, a total dickhead about it, of course. But I would still say I was right on principle in the end. That's all. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if Grim watches these podcasts or anything, but I think we might blow his mind just hearing us sing his praises right now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I never had issues with him. He always seemed to dislike me more for whatever. Oh, I know why. For the same reason most others disliked me. But yeah, it's all good. Got to have a thick skin, right? So.
Should we hop in the games now?
Oh, yeah. Well, one more question for Kirk. Actually, no, a couple more things. I know we're taking a little bit of time, but this is good stuff. One more question for Kirk, then then I want to talk a little bit about these teams before we start the films. Kirk, uh, this is again another question I ask everybody. How do you describe yourself as a player, both personally and competitively, and what's your style of play in the game?
That is a great question. So you would think that it would be a strategical advantage to be a color that more so blends in with your surroundings.
Right.
I chose the color that is going to stand out on any map. So when they see that color, they know it's me. They don't have to click on the unit. And I basically create a persona that everybody was so infatuated with wanting to hate play that they would end up fucking up because they were too busy trying to see what I was doing or wanting to hate play me that I would just be out doing my thing and use it to my advantage. So basically, the persona that I came up with on Myth is about the polar opposite of what I'm like as an actual person. I mean, I'm the most honest, humble, genuine people that you'll ever meet, but you'd never know that just based on my fake online personality, right? But definitely went a long way into give me a competitive advantage over the years, just with all the duels I had with, oh man, so many guys like, Raz and Limp and like the list just goes on, like Adrenaline, all the guys I've had feuds with over the years. It just gives me that competitive edge.
Yeah, I agree. You and I actually have a very similar mindset in this regard. Like I have the same mindset too. It's like you have to be the humility is important, I think. It really is. How you were describing your friend, this is something I've always kind of taken a little bit of pride in is just like you don't need to be the best player in the fucking game, but if you can be a tough motherfucker where you just get punched and like knocked down but keep getting back up, like that's respect, like that's like somebody who, is in the boxing ring or MMA, cage and they may not be the best fighter, but they can take their hits and keep coming back for more. That takes that's a strong mindset individual, right? And like when you were talking about how your friend kind of like got jealous and upset when you became better than him and then he quit the game, like that's like the opposite, right? Like that's kind of like the quitter's mindset. So not to say like if he genuinely lost love for the game, some people just generally aren't that passionate and competitive. That's fine, but like if you're gonna quit the game, like don't quit all upset about it. Like just quit because you don't want to do it or it's just not your thing. So yeah, I identifying players in the community who have like a strong mindset for that. And 1v1, as you mentioned, like doing 1v1 duels it's tough. Like, yeah, that's a very, I think that's why it's not that popular, right? Like most myth players aren't like identified 1v1ers. A lot of them might say it's because it's not fun. And there's probably some truth to that because you're just controlling so many units. And for a lot of people, it's like too much. It's like just too much to deal with. But
I think it's because also that when you're 1v1, like everything that you have is on display in front of everybody. You're the only one controlling all of your units, and it's easy to tell if somebody's going to, beat you because there's no other factors, there's no other variables, there's no teammates that you're relying on or they're relying on. You know, it's literally you versus them. So I think a lot of people especially ones with egos, are not. Take Myrk for example. Like all the times, he would cop out of doing a 1v1 because he knows he would lose.
Yeah, it is a different skill, and back when you were kind of at your peak of activity and I kind of was too, like that was kind of maybe arguably the height of, at least one of the heights of 1v1, I would say. I'm sure there was some earlier years that there was big 1v1s too, but like there was a lot of 1v1s going around that time. And yeah, like I guess I forgot my train of thought on that one. 1v1s, it's a lot of people just, they can't, I don't know, they can't, they would try it, but like if they lost, they would give up pretty quickly. And it's just a very different skill, and it's hard to be good at. Like it's definitely trial by fire. You have to like, anybody who got good at 1v1 in this game only got good by getting their ass handed to them like 1,000 times more previously, right? Like it's that whole quote, like, what's the quote? Like those who like achieve success, or it's like the master has failed more times than the newbie has, right? It's whatever the fuck that quote is.
So I think the thing with 1 versus 1 is, I mean, what Kirk said, like it's just you, so you can't really blame anyone else. Like all the micros on you. I think one of the things that doesn't attract a lot of people to it is like it takes so much freaking micro that it becomes a different style of game. Because like, sure, anyone can play well front to back, but when you're having to click and be aware of your army from like 3, 4 different angles just by yourself, like it becomes a different game.
It's like there's like you guys mentioned, there's no room for excuses. And like as you're playing, you can feel if somebody's better than you or not. Like they're clicking faster and better than you or not. Like you can feel it, and it's like, oh yeah, this like they outplayed me that game. Like, or maybe they're, if you get beaten routinely by somebody, you can just tell, like, yeah, they're just a better player. But then it's like, do you want to try to get better, or are you going to just accept that they're better than you and they'll always be better than you then, right?
And a lot of like 1v1ing, like say, you and me, for example, like our matches were so close and everything, but if you go outside of, if you play somebody else with a totally different strategy, it's harder than us playing each other almost. Like, you might laugh, but like I've played your Zoot a few times, 1v1. He's surprisingly tough.
Mm-hmm.
Like he has the ability to take multiple units, like even individual units, and like send them in places to distract you all over the place, and it just completely throws you out of what you think you're gonna do. Just like push forward, but then you got, one warrior here, another warrior there. Like it's just, um, you know, I mean, hell, you go up against anybody. If they have a better trade than you and they rush you, it doesn't matter how good you are. If they click at the right time, it's over.
Yeah, that reminds me of like, there'd be like a tactic in 1v1 that I would start doing. And I did it most often, I think, on PG with like Puskals. But basically, like, what I would do is like flank. I would have like, I normally only play with like 2 presets, but when I do 1v1s, I'll go up to like 4. And usually, like, my third and fourth preset will be like straggler melee units that I put on either side of the opponent. And like you said, what I'll do is I will have those presets like far enough out of enemy range that they can't get hit, and then also like just a little bit of a time buffer so that when I send those two forces in, then I start controlling my first two presets from the front. So basically what I'm trying to do is like create a wave that crashes into the opponent all at once at the same time, and like overwhelms them. That's a very effective like 1v1 tactic that you don't, obviously doesn't really apply to team play, right? Because team play, totally different ball game. But in 1v1, you can try and like overwhelm the opponent in terms of micro using tactics like that.
I can literally see that tactic of you doing that on PG because you used it against me so many times.
Yeah, I did it on everybody.
I was always like I didn't really do that. I see the strategic advantage of that. I just like to attack more head on. But yeah, I can definitely, I can still mentally see that image.
All right, let's dig into a little bit about this match. We talked a little bit about it already, but I guess I want to just kind of ask you open-ended. What do you remember about, you mentioned already some things, but anything else to kind of add what you already mentioned before? What do you remember about this MWC year and this team and kind of like the players on the team, everybody's like roles on the team for both Bullz and the NC squad? Like just anything you remember at all about this year? It was a long time ago, so just anything that you remember at all.
Yeah, so I mean, forming the team, like I said, he unfortunately doesn't play in the finals, but Honkey originally recruited me, and I'm thinking he's trying to put together a team of like ragtags, and I'm like, yeah, I want nothing to do with that. And then I see some of the guys he's got, like Parish and GK, and then when I learned that you were going to be playing for him, I never thought that he would come to me like, hey, listen, we got GKG and you on the same team. There's no way we're not going to win this championship. So I'm like, you know what? If he's cool with me joining, I'm fine. And I think the moment that happened, like, and you and I were like basically feuding like all the way up until that point happened. And then with a flip of a switch, we're like, oh, hey, what's up, bro? And they were right on the same page. But yeah, we kind of came together because you and I both hated NC with a passion.
Yeah.
Like obviously we both teamed with them and brought them victories before, but there was, I know I had a fallout with them, you had a falling out with them, and we kind of united and be like, hey, let's beat those motherfuckers, because I know you captained them in 09, and I think they won it again in 10, and I think this was kind of like the rubber match of like, okay, well, what factor is gonna weigh heavier? Like if you and I are not on their team and we beat them, does that prove that we're better or they were a better team? So I kind of like that aspect going into this Myth World Cup.
Just one correction to what you said. I did not captain them in 09. I did team with them, but I was not captain then. I helped Shy Strat, but that was the extent of my involvement.
Okay. For some reason, I pictured you capping them, but I know you did play with them.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I was going to... Yeah, what you mentioned was... Yeah, that sounds... I think it's like human nature, man. Like, no matter how much you... I think people really underestimate this, just in general in life. If you have like a huge beef with somebody and you're like, no, I'll never be friends with that person ever again, until you find something that you and that other person also hate, it's like such a unifying thing, right? Like it unifies people so much. Like you can overcome anything with that. Like, and yeah, and I don't remember what your beef was with NC. I want to ask you about that. My beef with them was like, so what, 09, I wanted to, like there just wasn't a competitive opponent for them anymore, and I like to compete, and I also wanted to be able to do my own strats, and like I could never do my own strats. Like Shaister overrode me on the strats all the time. Like I think I still had some good influence there, but ultimately he had final say. And then also you got to remember that was 2 years on NC about like that. And then prior to that, I had almost the exact same experience with Raziel, where I was like the primary co-strategist right behind the quote unquote primary strategist. I was like the secondary strategist, I guess, or tertiary strategist at worst. I was like this number 2 or number 3 strategist, always heavily involved in strats, but always like there was, in the case of 07 and 08, it was Raz always overriding me on the strats whenever we had disagreements. And it was like Eastwind was with us stratting, and Eastwind would always take Raz's side. And I was like so frustrated with Eastwind on that. Like he always took Raz's side on whenever we disagreed on shit. And so like it was like majority rules. We always went with their decision. And then with NC, it was like, it was Shy, maybe Ku to some extent, or Ska, and then me. And like, again, they're always going to side with Shy, and like it's their team anyway. More, it's not really my team, so it's kind of like they have final say. So yeah, like I wanted to just go out on my own. I left like always a very respectable teammate, just like you. Like I left things very cool with them. I just had like a kind of man-to-man conversation with like Shy, Ku, and Ska, I think, and not everybody on NC, but like I think just those 2 or 3 people maybe. And I was just like, hey, I'm gonna go do my own thing. Best of luck, whatever. I thought everything was cool, and then like just like whatever, a bunch of lies and hate started coming my way after I left that team, and that's where the bad blood started with me and them. But let me ask you, what is your story about the beef with NC when you left them? Because you teamed with them in TWS 08, I believe. You guys won with them that year, like, and then you left. So what happened there?
So just to say real quick, the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
That's right.
So that's the theme here. But yeah, so they did pick me up in TWS 08. Ku hated me. He was totally against it, and he rage quit, and he quit the tournament just because of me.
Interesting.
I don't know why. Like I truly didn't even have any beef with him at the time, but he was just such a crybaby, and any little thing, like he would blame me for it. So, but it worked out, and I really think like he was the main catalyst behind it. He wasn't always forthright about it, but I think he was the reason that all the other players eventually turned on me and whatnot. And then you take a guy like Adrenaline, equally large ego, and who's going to be the thrower, who's better, this or that. But then you got the different personalities of like Limp, and I don't know if Sam was, I don't know when he joined NC, maybe 09, but yeah, just the personality of some of those guys. Like it's just, they thought they were all that, which they did have a good run there. Like don't get me wrong, but I was really motivated to get kind of the anti-NC team, me, you, Ghengis, Parish. I can't remember when did Ghengis team with NC? Was it 10 or
09? He left them. He was not with them in 2010. So yeah.
Okay. So like we basically all had our run-in with them. Like we teamed with them, and we realized like, no, we don't want to play that way. Like just there was just something off. Like I didn't like their strats. They were too passive.
Right.
They never pushed.
I agree. Yeah, they're not aggressive enough, right? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I just didn't like their playing strategy, and that ultimately turned into a difference of egos, of course.
Yeah, you and I are very similar in this regard, like the aggression. And I mentioned it in the 08 episode that we did, and I think you heard me say probably multiple times, like really liked both you and Zer, like both of you very aggressive players, and I'm the same way. And like I feel like the game doesn't have like I would say the aggressive players are the minority in the community. Like and having really aggressive players. Of course you don't want players that are so aggressive that like they're like wasteful and like not good, right? Like of course you can be kind of aggressive and dumb, but like really great aggression though is like, to me that's some of the highest level of play you can have in the game. I see so many opportunities when I watch film or games. I mean, I'm in games where like there's opportunities for people to be aggressive and they're just too scared to do it. I see that so much.
So I think of it like a MMA fighter or a boxer, right? Like you don't want to just run in there, flailing your arms, leaving yourself open. But what you do want is like you want to always be approaching your opponent, throwing the little jabs, set up, and then like take your aggression, like a controlled aggression.
Controlled aggression, exactly. And you know what? You want to be a really, this is what being a great 1v1 player really helps with. And I don't think it's any coincidence that like usually top 1v1 players tend to lean more towards the aggressive side, because if you're confident in your 1v1 skills, you can afford to be more aggressive. You know, it's like sometimes you'll just match up with somebody in a big team game and you'll be like, you know what, I can outclick the fuck out of them and I'm just going to push this shit just based on the matchup here. Just even though like the units might be the same or they might even have a slight advantage, it's like, I can outclick them. You know, I'm gonna go for it. Or I'm gonna probe. I'm gonna test. I'm gonna feel them out and see how they do. You know, and I'll try to create a weakness or opportunity for myself. Right.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, as we start getting into the games here and everything, like I'm looking through the lineup and everything. Like, we got me, you, Ghengis, Parish, and Abs, all aggressive style playing. I'm looking through NC's lineup. I mean, maybe Shaister, but nobody else stands out to me as being like that aggressive. Looking at I'm looking at the Wanderlust right now. But you got Ska, Sam, Blade, and Limp, like super passive as can be.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, we watched the '07 finals where Limp and Zur matched up against each other. Like Limp, I think, did some throwing on a couple of those games, that finals, and like, yeah, he was just not aggressive at all with the throw, and Zur was very aggressive. Like you could totally see the difference in the styles there. Shaister's a very smart player, and he definitely can be aggressive, but I still don't really think of him as like a primary. I wouldn't say he's like overly passive usually either. He's definitely very smart, but I still don't think of him as like as aggressive in the same kind of way as like you, I, Zur. Ghengis, I think, is perfectly capable of being aggressive as well. So yeah, Paris too.
Yeah, I agree with that assessment. Shy, like you can never really say like, oh, it was Shy's fault or anything, or he was out of position or anything. Like, no, he plays within himself, and he's aggressive when he needs to be, and he doesn't rush into anything and get obliterated or anything. So yeah.
Yeah, Shy, I kind of think of like Shy in the same category as like Eastwind, Arsenic, Donsky, like very, very smart players, all of them never really out of position or anything like that. And certainly are capable of being aggressive sometimes, but they're more calculated than aggressive. Like they're not aggressive first type of players, right? Like it's like the difference between, is your default mode aggressive or is that like your mode of last resort kind of thing, right?
Yeah, well, sitting back to me is boring. Like, I don't care if I'm overmatched or anything, like I'm going for it.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, interesting that it sounds like you had a similar kind of experience as me leaving NC. I never really saw the parallels or similarities there. Oh, I also wanted to mention that your story uh, about how the team formation of Bullz was slightly different than what Honkey told us. I think it adds a little more color and context because Honkey didn't. The way Honkey explained it to us was um, well, it's kind of, it kind of matches with what you said, but I didn't know that Honky never mentioned how he was trying to get you earlier on. Like you were like he had invited you early, very early on. I thought you were kind of almost like a late add-on, but it sounds like actually you were invited very early and like you just kind of declined because you just didn't think the team was going to be as good as it ended up being. And then he described it, and I actually remember this. He said that you played we were playing some like rabble games together and you ended up on our team and I was captain, and like basically you and I just like destroyed that game, or like for a series of games. And that's when like Honky asked me like dude, we need Kirk on our team, and I'm like yeah, you're probably right. So
Yeah, that does ring a bell, but you are right. He recruited me. I turned it down because I'm like, you know, I don't think anybody, unless we have a good team together that's willing to work together, we're not going to beat NC. And there was really no other leading competitors, you know, that were really vying for that position.
Yeah, I wanted to also, yeah, kind of what you mentioned. It reminded me how, these finals that we're about to watch ends up with a very lopsided results. But that was not true the whole tournament. Like, Bullz was undefeated this tournament. However, did we have one tie? I can't remember if we had a tie. I thought we had one tie in the QR or something like that. And I don't know if there was a tiebreaker or not for it, but we were, other than potentially one tie, I think against NC in the QR potentially. We were undefeated, and but it was very close. Like, we had two matches prior to this finals we're about to watch against NC. Both matches were super close. It was by no means like pure domination the whole tournament for us. It really wasn't. It took some kind of figuring out, and we kept improving as the tournament went on. So
Yeah, I agree. And like the way the finals went, I mean, it was just, it was perfection. Like it was just, I don't think there's ever been a finals that was so well played, like top to bottom, just absolutely masterful.
yeah, it's one of the high. I agree. It's one of. I can't say it was perfect because we didn't 7-0 them. Like, we lost that one game, and actually I'll call it out. Their strat that game that they win was very good. I remember it still. They actually did a great job. And I'll call it out when we get to it. But yeah, this was, I think, one of the highest performing finals for the winning team. Like, you got to put it up there in, like, I don't know, top 3 to 5 at least. It's hard to pick maybe a number 1 of all time. Nobody, I guess, can really say for sure. Like, there's not going to be consensus on that, but like, I think there can be very wide consensus on, like, this being like in the top 3 to 5 for sure. It's definitely, like, if you go off the dominance of the score rating, I think there was only one other team that had a 6. Oh no, Asmo 2022. Did you guys get swept or something like that?
Uh, yeah, there's like a tie in there maybe. I don't think we won
Okay,
a game.
gotcha. Okay, so there was technically one team a couple years ago that had a slightly better record in the finals than us here, but other than that, like, if you go by just based on pure record, there's only like 2 or 3 times a 6-1 has happened like this. So, and Asmo, you and I had a discussion about this in another episode. We were talking about, like, what's the best MWC team of all time. I think Bullz definitely is a contender up there. I was thinking about it some more, and, like, I think the '09 NC team also is up there too. I don't know how much of an influence I had on the strategies. Like, we were talking about how, like, maybe the only real weakness of that team was the strategies. I'm not sure if maybe I helped maybe influence the strategies at least somewhat. But yeah, I think those two teams, the TMN, we were talking about the TMNT teams, although that was a dynasty as well. Like, yeah, the TMNT rosters, they kind of lacked, they seem to lack some of the raw BC power that you see in like a Bullz type of team. Like, this Bullz team just seems monstrous, like, from head to toe, pretty much, right? So
Yeah, BME is the one other team I brought up that could be in the
right,
conversation in their '04 team.
that's right. Yeah, we talked about BME as well. Although, someone talked a little bit about BME. I thought it was Honkey. I could be wrong though. And they said some things that, like, made it sound like Bullet Tooth Tony maybe wasn't as great of a captain as we thought maybe he was. So I don't know. Maybe the BME. I don't know. Hopefully we'll get to those finals. We'll have to see. We have to reserve judgment, I think, until we see those finals in '04. But yeah.
Yeah, none of that's fresh in my mind at all. We'd have to go way back and just see what was going on. I can't remember.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's dig into these finals. You guys ready?
Yep.
Yep.
All right, I'm gonna skim the PT. I usually just skim the PT just to get the chat on recording, Kirk, and then I'll pause it when I get to the end of PT, and then we'll all start together.
What's your thought on FG maps, Kirk? Are you a fan or not?
Dude, I love them. I mean, there really should be more because it just adds such a dynamic. I mean, the FG is super powerful, but it also has, um, its weaknesses. Like pus and uh, it's weaker too. Like fetch strikes and everything, and explosions and everything. But yeah, there needs to be more maps with FGs. But here too.
I do want to go over the names. I just forgot. Like we need to like kind of identify everybody just for kind of recording purposes. The this is an allies game, so it's split. Each team is split into two teams. The one team is called the Chicago Bulls, so they have like a Bulls centric theme with their players. So just different Bulls players from different years. I am Michael Jordan. Monty is Scottie Pippen. Absolut is Derrick Rose. Jerome is Browning. Ghengis Boozer is Ghengis. Kirk opted to opt out of the Chicago Bulls, probably because he's not a fan of Chicago Bulls. It's like, fuck that.
No, I didn't want to not use my name. That was all.
Gotcha. Honkey was on this team. He did not play in the finals, as we already discussed. For the NC team, I don't remember. Does anybody remember what their name was that year? If it had a particular name to it?
Do not remember.
Yeah, nobody remembers.
I can't remember.
Yeah. We'll just call him NC. But so Funambulist Mob is Shaister. Eastwind is Eastwind. This other name here, yeah, I guess we need to explain that a little bit. So I suck GKG dick is adrenaline. Yeah. There's a little story, I guess, behind that. So Adren and I have famously had many duels against one another. Adren, full props to Adren, like great competitor. Him and I have had him. I probably had more 1v1 duels against Adren than anybody else. We played many times, and we had a lot of beef going into this finals throughout the whole tournament. Really, we like had a lot of beef probably years prior to that even, but we had a 1v1 match where like the bet, so to speak, like of what the winner would get from the 1v1 match was the loser would have to change their name to whatever the winner wanted. And I didn't choose this name. Somebody else chose it for me. It wasn't my idea, but whatever. I just ran with it because I didn't have anything else. So I beat him in a 1v1 match. He famously beat me later for $50, just to point it out so Dren doesn't get mad at me later. So him and I, we've gone back and forth, and yeah. It's all in good fun, like I like having the little bets on the side, and he owned it, and just like I owned it and paid him his money when he beat me, so it's all good. And then
I would like to point out that he appropriately named his units GKG equals gay, just as so.
Did he? Oh, let me see that. Okay. That's funny. I did not know that. That's hilarious. It almost sounds like something like a Thor type of thing. God, I miss Thor. Hilarious guy.
That's what I love about this community, man. Like it's just, in the moment it seems heated and everything, but like you look back at it, like this was fucking awesome.
Yeah. I like it. As long as like people take it in all good fun, it's all good fun. All in good fun. I love it. So Ska, Sam, BLARDRUNNERs, Blade, Limp. Okay, so that's everybody. So this is an allies game. I knew you're going to see this really quick. Just so some context here. This is my first year capping. This is actually the first episode we've done that I'm actually in the MWC finals. So I can actually talk about what I did here. Everybody will see like a big kind of difference in the strategies here. Like famously, I was always very melee centric with my strategies. and always looking to set up very aggressive plays. So that's kind of the style of play you'll see the Bullz team do. And it's like kind of like the total opposite, like stylistically very much the opposite of what NC does. NC likes to go much more arty heavy trades, and they're more I don't know if I want to say passive, but they're definitely not as aggressive. They more want to like BC fight you over time kind of thing with their heavier arty trades. Would you guys say that's fair to say?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they went souls heavy, which I don't think are too effective here. But I think that was the biggest difference. And with our strategy, just teaming up, I think we're gonna just beat the crap out of one team and then just move on and clean up the other.
Yeah.
Both teams went soul heavy, not even just one.
Right. So quickly, you'll see the strategy here. Like the Bullz teams are diagonals, southwest and northeast, and our plan. We were actually hoping for diagonal starts because it favors our strategy even more heavily. We're basically just trying to set up a melee fetch push with both teams, and we're gonna double one side of the map. And I don't want to say that this was not done before in Allies, but it definitely was, like picking just one side to double team. But I don't think it was like as strongly understood as it was in later years. I think more recently, if you see Allies games, like pretty much everybody's looking to make that play now. Whereas back then, I mean, you can see it, and the NC team doesn't seem to think that way at all, right? Like, if they were trying to double one side, they would not have gotten the trade that they got, I don't think. So for us, we really are trying to just do melee rushing, especially on one side, just do a quick elimination of one side and kind of win the game from there. That's the idea here. NC is going to have to figure out a way to kind of join their forces together and try to defend that. But because they're diagonal starts, it's going to be way, way more difficult for them to do it. I'm trying to remember if we were going to do this strategy the same, even if we didn't have diagonal starts, and I don't remember. I personally think it would still work even if you didn't have diagonal starts. What do you guys think?
I think there's a good chance that somebody might have quote unquote lagged or went oos if that happened.
That's funny. Yeah, actually, I take it. Sorry, go ahead, Asmo.
I think it'll work without diagonal starts and not as well. I mean, maybe if you don't get diagonal starts, maybe I like a lock to the trade, but not necessary.
You know what? I want to say actually that we were not going to do this. As Kirk mentioned, I think we were not going to do this if it wasn't, because actually now the more I think about it, it's really hard to rush FG. They're not like Tro, right? And there's Fetch. Fetch are pretty good defense against FG, and Souls are too. So the only thing is that there's heals on the map too, which heavily favors the FG rush. As long as the FG doesn't get stoned and killed, you can drop them to half and heal them up again and just rinse and repeat multiple times. That still helps your rush a fair amount. And also, if you think about how this plays out maybe similarly as Geyer, for example. Geyer, you wouldn't want to get souls either. You'd still want to do a melee rush there too. So actually, I think maybe, no, I take it back. I still think I would not get souls. It like you said, Asmo, it wouldn't work as well, but I still don't think we were going to get souls. We definitely wanted the diagonal because it would work way better with the diagonal. There's no doubt about that.
Just looking at the map, the thing that's so strong about diagonal on this map is look at the terrain. There's like a lot of places you can get caught. So if both their teams can get up there, not necessarily just rush them, but get them stuck in that little corner, like they're stuck, right? Their fetch are going to get rushed. There's going to be nowhere for them to retreat to.
Yeah, they're going to be forced to back up into that corner. The map is very small too, by the way, and they're going to be forced to back up into that corner and also back up. When they're backing up, they're running away from their other team. So it's like really difficult for them to link up together. I'm at 11:58 if you guys can get there, and then we can start it.
I'm ready when you guys are.
You good, Kirk?
Yep.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, go. So here we go. You're going to see Bullz try to pinch the northwest.
Flag captured.
I'm on an FG. That's actually pretty unusual because usually I had Kirk and Ghengis.
Flag
Kirk and Ghengis are on the
captured.
same team. That's why. Okay, yeah, because I put my 3 best players on the team with
Flag
less
captured.
players. So they only had 3 players, but I wanted my 3 best guys all together on that
Flag
team.
captured.
And I'm kind of like leading the larger team. It's kind of with the weaker players. Is kind of how this
Flag
is
captured.
playing out. Here.
Flag captured.
Yeah, you're right on that one.
It was very unusual for me to giant, though. Usually Kirk and Ghengis were my primary gianters this whole tournament.
Flag captured.
You can see in chat they tried getting out of there, but they were just stuck.
Yeah. Yeah, Ska's team is going to be able to help with like the FG and spiders maybe a little bit, although it's easy to zone them out with fetch and locks and fetch and locks rather. Oh, we don't have locks. Just fetch. Okay, so here, Ska, Limp's doing a good job trying to help out. Oh yeah, Ghengis is being very aggressive.
Contested.
Kirk, you are as well. Kirk, you found a great way to like push in on them. Their fetch are like not defending at all very well there. Their fetch are like all backed up out of position. Who is that? Oh, that's a Dren. Oh, Adren's trying to fetch fight. Oh, that's such a huge mistake. He should be defending the FG.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a huge mistake. I mean, I'm starting to see why our push worked so well, but man, like, if Adren had actually defended better against the FG, it might have actually not been a lot more difficult to pull off our rush.
I like how aggro Kirk was there because there's like so many heals. It's like trade health every time as long as you get out.
Ooh, I think I'm about to lose my FG here. Yep, my FG's down, but it doesn't matter. Kirk is still alive. He's gonna heal up. He's still good. One team's down, so our plan worked.
Flag.
Yeah, this is a quick game.
Kirk's like, heal, motherfuckers. Like he's like 5 seconds go by, no heal.
Yeah, this one, like, for NC, I don't know. Like, the souls are effective on the team being rushed, but on the team that's not being rushed, it's just like a useless snap.
Totally agree.
Flag captured.
Love your aggression, Kirk. Like, yeah, super aggressive, and you're able to keep that FG alive. It's man. I remember, Kirk, I was so happy to have you and Ghengis, it's like just finally like other people who can like do the tro and FG as good as I can. It was always just really great to have.
Flag captured.
Yeah, I mean, you'd think that just giving your best players like the heaviest units is always the best, but when you can free up kind of yourself and take the lesser important roles here and there,
100%.
it goes a longer way, you know,
Yeah.
if you have capable players.
Especially for me as the captain, like I have too many other things to do. It's really nice if I can offload those heavy hitting duties to somebody else that I can fully trust.
Captured.
So, and I also want to mention that our team dynamic this year,
Flag
like,
captured.
and this evolved throughout the tournament. So as we see,
Flag
the game is
lost.
pretty much over at this point.
Flag
That game,
contested.
that was a very quick game. And I think this game kind of set the tone, by the way, for the rest of the match. But
Team eliminated.
going back to what I was mentioning about like our team dynamic, what we kind of figured out, or what I kind of figured out as the captain was, I kind of set up this dynamic where I figured out that I needed like 2 kind of like
Flag
almost like
lost.
co-captains or sub-captains
Flag
that could control flanks
Flag
and give
contested.
orders in addition to myself. And so for me, that was always Kirk and Ghengis as my 2 primary kind of, I forget what I called you guys. I called you guys, I think, commanders, just to use a different term. And then sometimes if I needed a third person, it would be Parish as well. And so, yeah, like you guys kind of were in charge of shit, and I didn't have to usually give too many orders. Like you guys already knew what to do. You guys made great calls without me, so it worked out really well. And we figured that out in the last couple, I think, matches of the tournament. So that's why we really started to gel very well at the end of the tournament here.
So one of the messages said, "Don't rehost Punk." So do you remember Punk user neutral hosting this?
No, I don't, but it's totally No, oh yeah, Punk was around. GOS wasn't around, but I remember Punk, yeah, Punk was around and active around this time. It's totally possible that he neutraled this. I don't remember, though.
Well, I think he did because there was only, I don't know if we were missing anyone in the game or not, but there were only 15 in the game, so that
Yeah,
would have been,
makes
he would have been
sense.
16. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, so, somebody left, Ska left. Yeah, because NC had 8, we had 7, so 15. Yeah, you're right. So Abs on my team had big damage numbers. I assume he had the fetch. Let's see, what did... I don't know. Yeah, I assume he had fetch. He must have handed me some fetch later or something, but... Kirk, yeah, you had some great aggression there. That was super crucial with your FG. I lost my FG maybe a little bit too early, but their team was already dead, so it didn't matter in the end. And yeah, I don't know. There's not anything else to say about this game, really.
So just the only other thing to point out is Myrk was benched in game 1, and he did mention something about this on the latest podcast that he was on, that he was pissed off about being benched in the finals on NC.
That's right. Yeah, I thought he got 1 or 2 games in, but he was benched most of the match. Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah. So yeah,
He played in 3 games, lost all 3 of them, and the one that he did sit out is Smells, and they won that one.
Right. All right. Well, let's go on to the next one, shall we?
Do it.
I'll skim
So
through
I got
TT.
the little infinity logo next to my name, so I'm wondering if somebody called up Omrake and said, hey, KROK is playing when he's supposed to be banned, and I'll bet my account got banned, and I had to hop in as a guest.
Oh, is that what that means? I don't remember that. Okay.
I mean, that's my guess, but like in the previous game, I had my own, but I must have been using somebody else's account or something. I can't remember, but I'm definitely a guest in game 2.
Yeah. I also want to point out Adren's name has changed. Apparently, we can change his name to whatever we want every single game. So.
Oh, that was definitely my pick. Right
Yeah,
there.
that was definitely Kirk's pick. I think that's what happened was like because I had the right to change his name. I just kind of like hoard out the picks to the rest of the team. They could like change Adren's name to whatever they wanted. So yeah, Kirk picked this, and it was kind of funny because like Myrk's on their team, so he's like. He's got to have like a name that insults his teammate. It's kind of funny, but
I'll give props to Adren. I mean, he didn't have to do that, but owning up to it, that's good stuff.
Yeah, totally agree. So yeah, and Adren mentioned how like he mentioned have to assume that they're going to rush because that's GKG's only strat, which he's got a point there. We're definitely looking to do a lot of rushes. So, and you can see it in the trades again. We do no archers on this. They do go lighter. Oops, I'm at 1158 stops there. I'm just gonna look at these trades a little bit. They do go lighter archers, but I would say not nearly enough dwarfs. Usually I'm in favor of fewer dwarfs, but this is Lichen with Lichen, whatever you want to say it, however you want to say it. With the general, like usually you want to get more dwarfs on this, right? Like because usually it's not uncommon to lose a couple dwarfs, and then you need some extra dwarfs still to go with the general. So kind of light on the dwarfs, I would say for them. But other than that, like. I think their trade otherwise could work. Having some archers is not the end of the world on this, I don't think. But yeah, you'll see us try to set up some kind of rush on them because it is CTF. This ties, by the way, a lot too. CTF Lycan ties all the time. So
they need one more dwarf, like for sure. Trade out 2 of those archers for dwarf, and I like their trade better.
Yeah,
the general's just too important, and that means that there's enough pus to kill all their dwarfs. Like you need a dwarf for that general.
Yeah, you definitely need like 4 or 5 at least. Usually it's pretty safe to go max on this though. Still, like 4 or 5, like really more 5 than 4, I would even say. So.
Yeah. All right.
Real quick, let's see who we got. So we got Ghengis on general, and yeah, Ghengis was great at general. I mean, he still is. He was probably our best general guy, and he's going to go match up against Adrenaline. Adrenaline's also very good with the general, so going to be some high level gen dwarfing on this, and then I think I had Parish and Kirk on a rush flank. It looks like, and I think I had like 3 war packs with bottle pus. So we did bottle pus on this, and I put Kirk and Parish on the north because I really wanted that north to win. And you're gonna see us just kind of like our general idea usually when we go heavy with the melee is just really try to spread the opponent out. Because usually if you go heavier melee, they can't cover. They'll usually be weak somewhere. They can't cover everywhere. And there'll be some kind of mismatch. So you'll see us try to set that up. Yeah, I'm ready. Are you guys ready?
Yep.
All right, 3, 2, 1, going.
It's interesting how they had Myrk sat last game. He comes in and then he gets 21%.
Yeah, gets a big roll. He's got archers and a dwarf, like a full squad.
Warriors too.
So yeah, you'll see us try to ignore the archers. Like whenever we do and this is the key thing that people don't understand why it's very safe usually to trade without archers is because it's usually just so easy to ignore the archers, and also often the player who's controlling the archers is not nearly aggressive enough when they go against a no archer trade. They just become confused and lost in the sauce. And they're like, what do? I don't have enemy archers to fight against. Because like 90% of players with archers, they're just looking to archer fight the other enemy archers, right?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Like, when you get archers, generally people have set them mid for like forever, right? Because I guess the idea behind it is that they're closest to where the action will be, since if everything's south, they can rotate. If everything's north, they can rotate there. But like, just becomes so exposed on an open map when they're in the middle.
Yeah, if you're doing archer, like the one archer squad against an archerless trade, you as the archer guy need to like actually have a pretty good understanding of positioning and the strategy and everything, because you have to be able to very quickly determine where you need to go and get your archers in the fight. Like that's super crucial. If you take like a minute or two to try and figure that out, like it's often devastating, and it happens so often too. So yeah, we're setting up our bottle pus, making bottles middle.
Both teams have the exact same defense, 6 throw.
Okay, we got Kirk and I thought Parish was up there. Got Browning up there. Okay, where's Parish at? Let's see. Oh, Parish is there. Yeah.
It's interesting. You guys have no southeast at all, other than a scout.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I would have thought I thought Browning was supposed to be south, but yeah, I'm not sure what happened there. I thought we would have been trying to spread them out. Looks like I have Monty on a dwarf that's trying to shadow it a little bit. So we got ooh dwarf got picked off.
Ricochet.
Yeah, pretty nasty.
Did
bounce there.
Adren got that? Yeah.
So I think what happens, he actually threw the bomb and it bounced off your guy's shield and ricocheted into your own door.
Right, yeah, so you got a little lucky there. At this point, I would say like it's pretty even. We don't actually have as dominant of a position as I was hoping for with my strat. I am calling to ignore their archers, so yeah, I knew that was important. We need to figure out a way to ignore their archers.
I feel like east wind and the southeast is very important right now. If you can plus that door, if you can really get some pressure on your flag.
Yeah, he's got to get pressure on the flag, and I'm trying to get pressure on their flag. I'm trying to break through mid. I think right now, I got a couple warriors and a dwarf. Ooh, Ghengis gets a good shot on Myrk's dwarf. Picks off a dwarf there. It's not evened out.
See, that's a big thing in the trade already. They're down to 2 dwarfs with that kill.
Right. And you see the percentages are even now, and like the teams have just kind of been like stalemating, lining up. We're still trying to like feel each other out. You got Eastwind pushing in the south, and I'm trying to push a little bit in the mid, but my push in the mid is probably not going to work out because it's too weak. Yeah, they got a gold pack threatening me now, so I'm backing out.
I don't know what NC's chat's looking like what they're saying right now, but like Myrk is trying to fight the general most of the time. He should definitely be trying to push that north with the warrior pack.
Totally agree. Yeah, our team is actually a little still like not sure what to do. Like both teams are. Both teams are like not fully sure what to do. Okay, now you have Browning breaking through towards their flag a little bit, the same as Eastwind is to ours. Eastwind is going to pick off Monty's dwarf. Monty doesn't do a... Okay, Monty's dwarf is still alive for now. Monty's not doing a great job defending that dwarf, I would say. Absolut is going back to reinforce Monty on the flag D. Ghengis is... Oh, Ghengis picks off a couple archers there. Nice. Nice shots by Ghengis. Gets another good shot on the warriors. Here's a moment where our North wasn't sure what to do, and I always told Kirk and Ghengis, like, if you have questions, ask me. Otherwise, like, you guys make the calls. So here I say don't rush it, but then Kirk says we can take it, and then as soon as Kirk says that, I'm like, okay, then take it, like, go for it. And now they're gonna push.
It's the right call for sure.
I agree. I agree.
There's no dwarf up there for them. They got archers. They don't even have a lot of goals, so they probably don't have much plus.
Yeah, Parish ends up throwing a bad bottle pus, but he still gets the bottle pus off, does a little bit of damage. I know when Kirk says, hey, we can take it, that we can take it. So I'm like, yeah, do it, man.
Yeah, that's a massive swing with that North Rush. Like, you guys are heavy favorites after that.
Now we definitely have the lead. However, Eastwind's still threatening our flag D, I would say. You know, still a threat there.
He is, but his rotation was fast enough that he's really slowing it down.
Also, Eastwind is out of pus, which is pretty crucial. So he's going to have a hard time. And Abs is in position to still be able to fall back to the high ground. He should not let Eastwind outflank him to the high ground. So he should be okay. As long as as long as he's able to keep the high ground, he'll be fine. Scott is flanking a couple goals from behind that would threaten Absolut pretty seriously in another minute or so. So it's still a threat on the flag.
He doesn't have pus, but Absolut probably doesn't know that.
Yeah, he can't know that. And even without the pus, there's still a threat.
True. He did his job, though. Eastwind's falling back now. He clearly has the high ground.
Yeah. Ooh, Abs. It's dinged there, yeah, with that bounce. Man. That would have been bad if he got picked off right there. The game might have, yeah. Well, actually, we have a second dwarf still. Oh, we got a second dwarf still. So Monty's still back there. This is why it's nice to have 6 dwarfs. You got plenty of dwarfs everywhere, so.
I'd say NC is in a lot of trouble right now because majority of their force is about to get stuck on their flag, and that's just like grounds for a general just to tee off on a spot where you know units are going to be.
Yeah, both teams are kind of threatening each other's flags, but I definitely think we have the stronger threat on theirs, and like we're gonna have them basically pinned. So they have a threat on our flag, but we're not pinned because we have the majority of our force able to be on offense, pinning them on their flag. So
yeah, their threat's minimal at this point, though. Once you guys have 2 dwarfs up there on the high ground and there's just still no ground, I think they can't do much.
Oh yeah, Scott tried to do something with his goals, but wasn't able to do anything. Probably didn't go in with Eastwind very well and didn't get either dwarf. So we got 2 dwarfs on the high ground. Our flag is totally fine at this point. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tire one at this point with your guys' position.
Yeah, so this is all what we always try to set up with the melee heavy stuff is we're always looking for that pin on these CTF game types. So this is what a pin looks like. We have the majority of our force focused on their flag, and they have to just camp their flag. So now we can just run the timer out and get a guaranteed winner tie at the end. Adren's getting some good, well-aimed shots, but it's only in Ghengis and everybody is staying in the water, so it's hard for him to hit anything. Blade has a goal pack coming in from behind to try and threaten. Looks like we're going to be making a push here soon, possibly. I'm not sure if we wait till the very end or not. I would hope.
You said to wait for you. I mean, you're still like a minute and a half away.
Oh yeah, okay. Looks like I went back to try and help D, and then realized that they didn't need help. So now, yeah, and so this is smart because we have time on the clock, and so we want to use up that time to further strengthen our position. Even though you guys might have been able to pull off the rush without me, there's no reason not to just make our position a little bit stronger with more time. So,
especially what just happened. Did you miss the Drennisdorf dive?
yeah.
Yeah, that was all that was needed.
Yeah, so now they have 0 threat against you, right? Your dwarf can just tee off on them until the very end, and you guys can rush with the biggest percent advantage.
Right, and now they're almost going to be forced to counter rush our dwarf in general because they're just Now we can just milk it. Basically, put their flag under siege and milk it with the range advantage. This is what I just want to point this out for everybody listening because you really want to use the clock to your advantage. If you always want to be looking at, is time on your side or against your side? If it's on your side, which by the way, you should always try to set up a strategy that makes the time on your side, which is another reason why to go melee-centric, oftentimes, especially on CTF and FR and other rushy game types. If time is on your side, okay, nasty dud there. I think that was Kirk's dud, unfortunately. He had a really good puss, but dudded. If time is on your side, you want to milk that clock as much as possible and only make your move to the very end. So that's what we're doing here. And I think this is something that we understood as a team better than anybody else.
Contested.
Maybe up to that point in the game. I think I really did a great job with my strats, always looking for the clock.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with CTF is if your assault on their flag goes awry, then they can just easily counter, and you might not have anything left if there's enough time on the clock.
Now, you see, they do have a pretty good rush on us at the end there against our general. You see a Dren's general got vetted a little bit. As soon as that general gets 1 or 2 kills, it's just like a monster in melee. It goes from a slow attack to a super fast hero on guard hero attack, and it hits hard as shit. It's crazy.
Flag contested.
But yeah, this game's, even though the percentages are even, we had a slight percentage advantage throughout the game, our positioning was just a our advantage throughout the game was way bigger than the percentages made it look like. You know what I mean? Our position advantage was huge.
30 seconds remaining.
I think the only thing I would like to see different from NC there in terms of unit control is Eastwind. I feel like he should have came home. Once he saw that the 2 doors were up high, he should have fell back with 3.5 minutes or however long, many times.
Yeah, at least help to get the tie because he wasn't going to be able to do anything over there. Because, I totally agree with that because he would have then been able to ignore the heavy D that we had and just leave those out of the fight completely, right? And at least you could help his team get maybe a tie, right? So...
Yeah.
Totally agree with that.
Well, look at the stats. Your general wrecked.
Yeah, Ghengis.
Yeah, that was a monster game.
I want to point out Ghengis. I think I mentioned it in the other podcast. Ghengis had one of the best years in an MWC tournament that any player has ever had. He was just a fucking monster the whole tournament, and it was his first year that he clearly arrived on the scene as a 5-baller. Because we watched the 2010 finals and although he had the fire alarm episode, I would have liked to seen him throw that game. From what we saw in 2010, I don't quite feel he was at 5-ball level play. I think it really happened for him this year. And I think it was this year, too, that him and I did a little bit of melee practice, and that kind of sharpened his melee skills as well. So, yeah, he's going to be you'll see he'll be a monster throughout this match. Kirk as well. Both of y'all were, clearly our 2 best players, so go ahead.
This is the first year that Ghengis has really trial, which is just shocking. I mean, Kirk and Ghengis are splitting trial in the series, and dang, how did it take people so long to give Ghengis trial in a tournament setting?
Yeah, well,
especially when he was on NC, right? That was arguably one of their weaknesses in terms of players, and you got one of the best trowers that just hadn't been identified as one of the best trowers, I guess.
Yeah, so let's unpack that a little bit. So in 2008, I think was Genghis' first year with NC, and so he was, I guess, maybe considered too new back then. But I still I think it's fair to say that people might not have been able to figure it out that quick because I think he was very new to Myth 2. I think he came from Myth 3, right? So I imagine he switched over around 07 or 08, like not too long before that. And so fine, like I'll understand that they couldn't figure it out to give him the tro that first year, and then in 09, and then also you got to remember TWS 08 was Kirk. Kirk clearly going to be the troer. Was Kirk, was Ghengis with you, with NC with you that year?
No, he wasn't.
Okay, so it must have been, he must have joined for MWC 08 just after that. And then you had me with NC in 09, so I'm going to throw even over Ghengis, because Ghengis wasn't quite as established by then. And then 2010, he leaves NC. By that point, I agree, they definitely should have had him throwing. He did throw some, but I don't think he throwed every game of that 2010 finals, if I'm not mistaken. We did already cover it. And he was given tro that last game, but of course had the fire alarm incident. So very unfortunate we couldn't see Ghengis' throwing that game. But yeah, finally 20. I mean, I think I noticed that Ghengis was a fully capable meleeer and thrower. So that's why I quickly elevated him to that position. So yeah, let's load up the next one. So 2-0, Bullz over NC so far.
NC. We got a new name on here. We got BJ Armstrong. Was that Honkey?
Oh, yeah. No. That's not Honkey. That's Homer.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I forgot that Homer was on the Bulls team. Yes, Homer was on
Bulls. I
Bulls.
realized he was on that team.
Yep. I mean, he was on the team by virtue of Ghengis, obviously, but like he was very new.
Yeah. He wasn't. I would not say he was like a liability as a player or anything like that. Oh, Parish is calling out to do a team shout out at the start of the game here. Homer, I've never felt that Homer was that bad of a player, honestly. Like, yeah, he had been playing for a few years. I think he started playing Myth 2 at the same time as Ghengis, I would imagine. So he
came after. So
did he?
I think even now he was still pretty new, but I think he was like a low 3-baller at the time.
Gotcha. Yeah, I would say that's fair. Like, yeah, I would imagine. I thought of him as like a low 3-baller, but like I was totally fine with him. Honkey was definitely the weaker player between like our weakest player. Homer was not our weakest for sure, and Homer's definitely gotten better in the years since then. So yeah, he was newer then. This would have been like when he was not as good. I would put Homer more like a high 3 balls for sure now. I mean, flashes of 4 balls sometimes even.
Both teams have nearly identical trades in this game, and I'm looking at the splits now. Let's see. Splits are very similar. The splits. So the main difference in the splits so far, anyways, unless if it changes, the Jern is on all 4 fetch, and you guys split the fetch. That's the only massive difference in terms of splits I'm seeing.
I see NC do this a lot. They seem to like put all the fetch groups a lot more heavily than what I do or what a lot of other people do. That's a really great point that our trades are nearly identical. The only difference is they got 2 morts and we got just 1 mort and 2 mauls instead. It's flag rally. So the trades are as like they're not identical, but like it's negligible difference, right? You could basically say these trades are the same. So based on trades alone, you can't make a prediction. However, I will say, as you see this game develop, you'll see that the distributions and the strategy is profoundly different, and it's going to show in who's able to put more pressure in the game. Like you're going to see a big difference there.
Before even we see what happens, I don't know what happens this game, but it's interesting that NC splits their trial but keeps all their fetch to one guy. I noticed that too. What I'm seeing play out is like if the Bulls can split up that trial, the fetch can only support one of those trial pushes. So that's sort of interesting. Whereas you guys split the fetch, so you guys can have fetch supporting both trial possibly. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
That's a great point. And it's like all the other episodes we've done. Like whenever there's a fetch tro map, I always want to point this out because fetch tro is like one of the strongest synergies in the game, and the only reason to ever split tro is if you have RD support to go with it. Now, true, they could put morts with the other set of tro, but fetch are just so much more powerful than morts as far as supporting, doing RD support for tro, that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense in my opinion. Like you have to put fetch with the tro. So I think that shows that we understand tro fetch pushes better than they do, and you're going to see that's a key ingredient to why we are going to end up being able to exert greater map control and kind of pin them better to their side of the map as we see this play out.
Yeah, they didn't even split their morts either. So I mean, they've got 5 players that have
that's
no
so
RD.
Wild. Yeah, that is so
like
wild.
that's just not a good split at all.
No, yeah, I totally agree. You want more micro. Like it doesn't hurt the like unless you need that. The only reason you would want to not burden a melee guy with arty is if you needed that melee force to move around faster. But in this case, you're gonna have enough. Like you're gonna have 2 or 3 dedicated melee guys anyway. Like at least 1 or 2 in addition to the trowers, right? So, like, you want more micro with that arty. That's definitely. I would definitely rather have more micro on the arty for that, for sure.
And all the units here, aside from the arty, they're all fast too. It's not like you can just rush something. So I mean, yeah, you definitely want to split it up and use it as a anti-rush defense.
I kind of remember this game, so it's not like I'm making a prediction here, but I think what we're going to end up seeing, and I've noticed Adren do this a lot, because you saw it a little bit in the first game too. He had the it was 4 fetch, wasn't it? 4 fetch on that one too.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. So and you saw it there too. Like his positioning was off, and like he's trying to fetch fight instead of defend the FG, and I've noticed this with Adren a lot, where he's not quite. His positioning is often just off, or he'll hesitate to get into the fight somewhere, and like just hang out middle on his side of the map, and like his team will end up getting pinned if he does that. And I think that's what ends up happening here. Well, let's watch it though. Are you guys ready? I'm at 11:59.
Yep.
Same. Yep.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go. So I'm pretty sure I know what we're doing. We're going to set up a 2-prong. So I want 2 tro fetch pushes going on. And that's going to give us maximum map pressure. Because those tro fetch pushes are just going to get a nice spread across the map.
Flag captured.
And we're going to be looking... This is like a wrestling match. We're looking to like wrestle them and get them stuck on their side of the map. So it is flag rally. Flag rally can play out a lot like CTF if you get it. If you give VI, you get them pinned to their side of the map. It's just like CTF like that. So
looks like a 3-prong versus a 2-prong is what's going on.
Yep. Which is that could work too. I mean what do we got? We got a little small. Okay, here. What do we do? No, we don't have a north really. We have like kind of no north. Yeah. I'm curious why I didn't have like a small melee pack on that 3rd prong, but either way. So what you want to really looks like our home D is flag 3 on the east. Okay, so yeah, I always do the flag D behind where our strongest flanks are. So because I have a mid and a south, I want to put my flag D behind it, right? So I'm closest to my flag D if I need to fall back to it. And here. What we want to see is our trowers wait for their fetchers to kind of support them. Set up that tro fetch push. Now we see Ghengis in the south kind of pushing a bit ahead. Parish is with him. He's running a bit ahead of his fetchers, or his fetcher, but he does have a melee advantage though. So he's able to push around limp in the south just with the melee advantage. And so he's going to take the early flag tag. They do tag our north on the other side. Kirk is matched up against Eastwind. Eastwind does have a melee advantage against him. So Kirk has to use his fetcher to help support him to be able to hold and push his side because Eastwood otherwise has a melee advantage. Oh, actually, I'm coming with a melee pack to support Kirk as well in the north.
So I think the really important thing right now is all of Adren's fetch are being forced to go into defense. So they're essentially useless, right? Because that force
Yeah, no
you guys
man's
in the
land.
south can just run away if they need to.
Yep.
Fetch can do nothing.
Yeah, you can
They're so
see,
fast.
and he's backing up, so he's going to be just stuck on their side of the map. And like you said, like they are going to have a hard time pushing us. Our fetch are getting to their side of the map. Their fetch are not getting to our side of the map. So already we're kind of pinning them. And now I'm pretty sure, yeah, I'm calling south back, and I want north to push because I know north has the fetch advantage, right? So I know that they are the side that needs to push. And so now we're just going to wait, and we're going to give it time, let that north keep pushing, not take any other engagement, and just keep wrestling them to their side of the map.
Unless if they just like out micro you guys, they're just completely losing this game on
Just on position.
positioning and strategy right now.
Yeah, no fighting has happened, and they're losing it just on positioning. Yeah,
Because they're all falling back to defense with only one extra tag so far. Like, of course, they're going to give up another flag. Maybe if they had VI, sure, but they don't.
This is where I think this game really shows like NC does not understand the danger of getting pinned to your side of the map. Like I really don't think they're not trying to set up any offense, and they don't seem to be concerned about it, right? You don't see their south even pushing. Like Adren's fetch and Limp's Tro are not trying to even push our south. They're just camping on that flag. So they're just kind of giving up the map to us. Ghengis is actually being surprisingly aggressive, pushing into a superior force there. So he's taking a little bit too much fetch. I mean, it's not that big of a deal yet. It's a little bit of fetch damage. Ska is kind of getting at an angle. I would like to see Kirk and our... it looks like our mid... So Kirk is kind of distracted. Look at this. Kirk's distracting a way superior force. Kirk needs to just distract that and let our mid pinch their middle. So we're setting up a huge pinch on their mid right now. And Kirk's just distracting them and baiting them. And they're kind of falling for it. Kirk's just like fake pushing.
They split the Trow on their home flag. Scott has one of the 2 Trow now.
Here comes our rush. We're going to rush their middle with a massively superior force. And they're not going to be able to do shit about it.
Well, their Trow's out of the fight too, one of them.
Yeah. We even have a Tro advantage in that middle. Oh, no, it's... Okay, never mind. It's matched up.
It's matched up, but their Trow can't do anything, right? It's not.
I picked off... So I got my melee rush in there. I picked off all 4 fetch. And their melee is all bottled up on top of our fetch. So this is how you do proper melee fetch pushes right here. You want to get the enemy melee all bottled up and clumped up, trying to defend and get pinned.
Flag
and
captured.
Get our fetch kind of in aggressive position. And that's what we set up there really well. So now we got a big percent advantage. Kirk did exactly what he needed to do. I can't believe they fell for that, Kirk. Like they just so distracted on you.
Misplay. Big misplay by Eastwood. If
you're
They could have sent the Tro back. I mean,
exactly.
Yeah.
I can't believe they didn't do that. At least one Tro, if not both of them. Yeah.
Yeah, no, they had to fully commit to rushing your team. That was on their mid flag there.
They just don't understand Tro arty pushes. I feel they don't understand it. And this is where like the morts are just not nearly as effective. Trying to set up mort melee pushes.
Did you see that dud on the head? That was great.
So it's pretty even in Tro health, but of course we have all four of our fetch. They have 0, and we probably have a melee advantage too. So now we're just gonna rush this last flag and be done with it. Kirk's getting some clean kills real quick. Just isolated a lone melee pack. And here we go. I think we're gonna start pushing right here. Yeah, I really like our throwing there with Kirk and Ghengis. Really like that throwing. Really great throwing.
Yeah, me and him, like, you put us on a flank. We were always in sync.
Yeah. Finally lost our first fetch.
Remaining. Flag captured. Sudden death.
Oh, that Myrk's probably not
Game
Oh, I see they snuck a tro to our defensive flag, but it was just too little too late.
Oh, I really don't like that move at all. Oh, we shadowed it. Okay, Ghengis shadowed it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. If I was them, I would not have done that. It had no hope of doing anything. You never send Tro isolated without, number one, without any small melee support, and number two, without any RD support. Like, it's such an inefficient use of Tro health. So that was like, again, just it's a failure to understand proper Troing, I feel. You would never want to make that play. If you were gonna flank some melee to the enemy flag, you would use small melee, not a Tro. Yeah. Absolut, again, with some big numbers. Absolut is having a really great match so far. Again, Absolut was another player I recognize. I was always proud of my early recognition of Absolut's talent. Like, he was 4 balls in 2010. I called it then, and so I was happy to have him on the team in 2011. He's having a great match so far. And of course, Kirk and Ghengis with some big numbers too, so...
Yeah, I think we asked Homer to sit out on this one, but yeah, it looks like Myrk sat out. I think we traded like who could sit in the matches. So
yeah, I think so. I don't think you or Ghengis. I doubt I had you or Ghengis sit out any, but or myself. Although I remember throughout the tournament, I always said like if we're winning a match, happy to sit. But yeah, in the finals, I don't think I had probably our top 3 guys sit any. But I could be wrong. We'll see.
No one sat for you guys so far. I've had the same
yeah,
roster.
the only single game I sat out was, like I said, the one where you benched me because I didn't follow. I didn't even bother to read your instructions that you sent me the day before. So but that was it.
Yeah, I wouldn't normally sit you. Like, it's you and Ghengis were like my go-to guys always. All right, I loaded up the next one, by the way.
Same.
So, okay, so I want to point out, like, because, you know, NC had a bad match, but I do want to point out, like, they did actually get a really good strategy on this one, and I would say it's even better than what we got, and I think it shows in the results. So, full props to them on this particular game. And I want to point out, too, it's not an RD-centric trade, right? Like, it's more melee-centric. So, you know, they went for Thrall instead of Warriors, which I do think Thrall are super viable on this. It worked out great for them. There's obviously some things we could have done better, probably, whenever we look at this, but I still think that they did fully deserve this win. They earned it. And yeah, whenever NC didn't go into their like worst instincts on the really heavy RD trades, they could do well. Like, everything else about them was they were a strong team in every other way, I would say. They had you can even see it in these films. Their team does still have good communication and good teamwork, even when they're on like the losing end of things. There's some weaknesses in their strategic understanding of the game.
I appreciate how unique this map is and like the different strategies and unit set, but like that being said, I hate this map because of the units and the mesh itself, because there's just no wide open space that you can rush. The units are slower. It's just you just have to really be very calculated and everything, and that kind of goes against like my nature. So I think that's one reason why we struggled in this game.
Yeah. I also want to point out that they had a counter shout out for who has GKG's $100. I thought it was 50, but I think that's right. Actually, it was 100. And so we're talking shit to each other throughout this match. That's always good fun. Yeah, I mean, the trades, I don't know. The trades are kind of like we got Warriors and they got Thrall, I guess, is the main difference. Is that right?
On.
Pretty much. There's only one thing I don't like what NC did is they didn't max plus here. They're 1 white short, but other than that, yeah, it's Thrall versus Warriors is the difference.
Gotcha.
And they have 7 doors. You guys have 5, so they have 2 more doors than you also. And this is a map that is very strong for doors, just because you're pretty much forced to run into them since it's so crowded.
So I put Kirk and Ghengis on the Confusion Warlocks. Again, I want to point out these are Confusion Warlocks. And then I put myself and Parish on the Huron pack. Yeah, I can see why I would have done that. Parish is a great meleeer as well. I think the reason I put myself on a Huron pack on this is just because, like, this map is so fucking weird that there was, like, it's one of those, every now and then there's, like, a squad that, like, the role is too complicated. Like, there's too many different contingencies and types of adjustments that need to be made depending on, like, 5 or 6 different scenarios we might run across, and it's, like, too complicated to explain to somebody. So sometimes I'll just take that role for myself. It's just, like, easier if I just do it instead of trying to explain it to somebody. And the Confusion Warlocks are super important here too, so I think that's why I still put Kirk and Ghengis on those. I'm imagining we just do a 3-prong. I imagine they do the same. We'll see. I'm at 11:59. You guys ready to start it?
Yep.
Yep.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
I hate the Confusion Warlocks in general, but especially with this unit set. It just feels so freaking overpowered against Pus, against Tor, stuff like that.
Because it, like, goes through the walls and everything too, right?
Oh. Maybe that's why they didn't max Pus. Maybe they figured a bunch of Pus is going to get wasted by Confusions. I don't know.
Also, the melee, like, Hurons and Thrall, pretty resistant to Pus, so you wouldn't want to... This is, like, actually a map you may not want to be pussing dwarfs so much, because, like, there's so many dwarfs, and if all you want to be focusing on the locks, but
Yeah, for sure.
But again, you could only pressure the locks with Pus when they don't have full mana, so unless you want to bait them to use the full mana on the Pus because you want to rush them right afterwards with something, with a bunch of other shit. That's the other thing you might want to do.
I think Confused Warlock can probably be put into other maps with, like, bigger units like Tro and everything to be kind of a neutralizer. I think that would add a neat spin to it.
Flag captured.
I'm going to have to fix my push to talk after this.
Flag
It looks like it's
captured.
broken again.
Yeah, assuming you guys get tag advantage early on, they're playing for the later game with all this Thrall, I'm assuming.
Flag captured.
I really do like their strat, and I'm kind of upset that I didn't think of it at the time. I remember after playing this match, I was like, man, yeah, they definitely
Flag
outstratted me, and
captured.
I should have thought of that. It was really this is a really smart strat that they did. So it looks like I gut checked middle. Yeah, I just wanted to see what was there. I realized I can't push that side, so now I'm trying to find another spot. I remember, I think this is actually a game where Ghengis had a bad game. He kind of collapses on the west side, if I'm not mistaken.
Flag captured.
I could be wrong. Let me see. I might be misremembering. We'll see. I got Kirk on the east as well. So we had no middle, just the Huron pack kind of middle.
Flag
Okay, Pus goes down. That was their lock. That's a nice play by them. That's a Dren. Yeah, that's a really nice play. He picks off like 1 or 2 Pus and gets a Dwarf out of it and a couple of Hurons. That was Ghengis and Browning there. That was I think they didn't see that lock or something. I'm not sure. But they got hit way too hard by that lock confusion, and now they're in deep shit.
Why is Browning's Dwarf over on that ledge?
I do not know. Yeah, that's not smart either. I agree.
The Dwarfs with them right now, they're probably
Flag
okay, but with them separated after that first Dwarf's dead, like that lock can't confuse, because then, I don't know.
Yeah, and by the way, full props to Shai. This is a really smart rush that he's doing. Super smart rush. So this is where Shai is fully capable of being aggressive when he needs to be, and this is a prime example of it.
Yeah, so.
They really they clogged up that east side really well, so while the rest of them can attack our southwest.
Yeah, like, Kirk, you're running into, like, a massive Dwarf and Thrall force that's just going to be, like, it's going to take you forever to try and chew through that. And Ghengis had to spend his full mana on Shai's Hurons with no follow-up damage just to try and survive. So now he's like desperately trying to get mana again. And now their second Heron pack with Limp is coming in from behind.
Yeah, I like the setup of their East defense. I've actually never seen that on this map.
Yeah, that's a great defense. I agree. And here you see I reinforce our West. So I've kind of stopped the bleeding, I think, for now. Oh, that's a nice confusion. I'm going to get some heavy damage on Shai's Herons right now, actually. That was a really nice confusion by Ghengis. That kind of helps to even out some stuff right there. It's going to kill like 2 or 3 Herons.
Yeah, I just got fucked up east side. I know I had a bad game here too.
Flag
Oh, yeah, I
captured.
missed it. Yeah, somehow your lock got picked off. Looks like you were trying to turn the corner a little bit too aggressively or something, maybe? I don't know.
Well, I got pussed.
Oh,
I
gotcha.
got fucked up, and then the lock came in and killed me.
Yeah, we just kind of had a... I do still think they had the better strategy, but we also kind of played a little poorly on this one, too. Nice dwarf shot there by Dren. I'm going on offense now with my Huron pack. I realize that I have to get some kind of offense going for us. Oh, and Parish is coming... Oh, I don't... Ooh. Okay, yeah, Parish, I think has a good rush because their lock doesn't have mana. Oh! And Ghengis gets a nice confusion on their West right at the same time as Parish rushing it. Ghengis spends a pus on their Dwarf when it was already confused. I think that was kind of wasteful, but actually our West cleans up. That was a really nice comeback for our West flank. We would have actually been looking really good if our East was still alive right now. The percentages are even, but they're still up in kind of position and flags.
Absolute at a rough moment. He had 2 doors, clumped. They got double confused, which allowed a plus to double plus them. So, that's how your East died.
Flag captured.
This is a prime example of like how I always tell people like usually like 90% of strategies you don't want to push on more than one side. So you always want to figure out what side you want to push on, and the other side should just automatically hold. Like you only want to because usually you push where you're strong
Flag
and you don't engage
captured.
where you're weaker, right?
Victory
So
imminent.
this might have been like a little bit of an example where maybe Kirk felt pressured because our West was losing there for a little while. Kirk might have felt a little pressure to make a play. I'm not sure, but we didn't need to push all sides at the same time because our Hurons were reinforcing the West.
I think I was just so far away from the action. I mean, it would have taken forever just to get back into it. So
Yeah,
I
that's
just figured
it, for
engaging
sure.
and just
5
trying to
minutes remaining.
chip them down would have been better, but I fucked up.
I'll say I have a pus still left. Parish and I mean, it's still a really close game. They do have victory imminent, though, which is pretty huge on this, especially with all their Thrall and Dwarfs. It's almost like checkmate. They almost kind of have checkmate on us, actually, just with the VI. It's such a strong VI, even though the percentages are even.
Yeah, they got checkmate because you guys only have 1 piece of artery, and unfortunately, it's on defense right now. And you guys sort of need that on offense to have any chance.
Yeah. Ghengis actually needs to start moving his lock to offense right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm watching North right now. Like, you're looking at percentages, like we're rolling over their units and stuff. I
Victory
mean,
imminent.
it's looking pretty decent, but they're able to really fall back, and they got tons of arty left.
Yeah, it feels like we still have a chance because we have like a big Huron advantage and like a decent percent advantage. Like now we just need to get our lock onto offense. Oh, why is Ghengis
That
not
lock
moving?
need to move. Yeah, maybe. Huh? I don't know. If the lock's moving like right away, then I'm like, yeah, maybe you guys do have a chance. It's a good confuse, and you guys can rush him at the end.
Yeah, he's got time if he moves right now. Like he does need to start moving really. I'm surprised I'm not calling for him to go onto offense. Actually,
Hopefully, his Herons go too. Now that those wars are there, we'll see what happens.
I'm super surprised.
Yeah, I don't think we knew if anything slipped into our backfield. I think Limp's Herons, I think we might have thought went on offense, like in the backfield. So
Yeah.
That you're probably right. That he should know now, though.
Yeah, I see Limp Herons there. We should know by now. I'm surprised.
Yeah, he's starting to
calling
move
it.
now. It was a little bit too late.
Yeah. I'm telling Parish to get his plus down. He's trying to put it up top, but I'm like, dude, it's just going to get confused. Like, it's not going to do anything up there.
I want to see how close this lock gets to the battle before this ends.
Yeah, it's too tight on time. It's really unfortunate because we would have wanted our lock there as soon as possible to milk as much time as possible, getting some confusions off. Oh, Parish gets a big confusion and he's going to eat some shots from that door. Yeah, we really needed that to not happen too. Like with 2 minutes left, like this should not happen.
Ooh, that is rough. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a bad mistake by Parish. And I'm now forced to try and make a play because like it's like the lock is low and we need to not let them get another confusion off, you know? So unfortunately we're running into a ton of thrall here. I have to try and like pick off the lock and the dwarfs maybe, and even so that at least if just the thrall are left we can contest and whittle it down with Artie or something, but yeah, it's just too much thrall. Oh, and I'm gonna take a big dwarf shot there. Yep, that hurt. Yeah, I'm just getting eaten alive here. I probably could have rushed that better too. I think I was trying to chew through the thrall a little bit, but I don't think that was the right move actually. I should have gone for the Artie.
Yeah, not our best game, but I mean, we made it pretty competitive there.
Yeah, it was still very close, and this was like the only really close game I would say of the entire match. Definitely sloppy play. Like everybody had like a bad play on our team, like literally every single one of us.
Like just given our roster and everything, like this map is probably the best chance they had of even beating us, just because there's no wide open spaces for us to just BC the crap out of them.
Right. Yeah. That's why I think our team worked so well. Is like I had the strats to just set up our guys into like great position. And then, like, we just had, like, a bunch of freaking BC powerhouses that could, like, take that great position and then be really aggressive with it. And we had such strong melee or map control and pressure, I feel, as a
30
team.
seconds remaining.
Yeah, so his lock is just barely getting there now. If he left a minute earlier, he would have been able to get there in time to get like one confused off, and you guys could have made your attempt at push.
Yep. That would have made that push so much stronger. Yeah, we actually could have won this. We really kind of fucked it up at the very end. That was like a really just terrible push at the end by us. And I'm surprised.
Yeah, the Heron's getting confused kind of really messed it up.
Yeah, that fucked up like the timing of everything because we would have wanted to wait till the very end to make our rush, and that like forced us to do a premature rush. Lock was also too slow. I'm surprised I didn't call Ghengis. That's a bad call on my part. I should have been calling him to move over on offense earlier. So yeah, we were all just kind of like out of sync this game as a team. So we really could have won it though. Still at the very end there, if we had just had a more coordinated rush.
Shaister definitely a standout player for NC there.
Yeah, Shaister made some huge plays. His only mistake was getting confused there a little too badly at the very end, which allowed me to kind of pick off his Herons. But otherwise, it was like pretty much flawless play from him. He had a great aggression from him when he needed it. I guess I had kind of a good game too with my Heron pack. Parish decent as well. Yeah, Absolut looks like he still did good. God, Absolut, he was so underrated. I think even I'm looking at these films now, and it's like even though I think I was the one who probably thought the most highly of him, I think even maybe I was still underrating him. Like he's still having a fucking really great match.
Yeah, I have all the stats of like of the performers. He led in kill and damage ratio for both sides.
Yeah, gotcha. Let me load up the next one. Actually, before I do that, let me fix my mic. I'm going to go quiet for just a little bit, and then I'm going to have you check it real quick for me, Asmo. Hang on.
Yep.
I mean, the sound's working. I don't know. What's your screen at? No, no, I don't think it's working.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I don't know why. Like, I just clicked it and closed it again. Can you test it? Can you see one more time? I think it might be working now. Testing 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me? Testing 1, 2,
Yeah, it's
3.
working now.
Okay. Very good. All right. We're back in business. Fix that real quick. All right. I'll load up the next one. So
We got another new name in here for NC. I'm not sure who that is.
Gotcha. Let's see.
Which
Kirk.
player?
Oh. Oh God.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Dren. Yeah, I don't know.
Do, do,
I don't know who chose
guys-
that name, but
I
You guys-
think he went on his own accord at that point. I think he was done.
gotcha. Yeah, it must have been for sure.
Did you guys know what happened to Dren this Mythical Cup? Why didn't he play for NC? We got this random name changer in here.
Oh, this is a very
Actually-
weird map. Holy shit.
Actually, I think I gave him a name to do something like Kirk rapes Myrk, and he added his own spin to it or something. But yeah, I like the unit set on this map. It's really different. You got the fast stampeders with arcs, and everything else is fairly slow. I mean, only Zerks are the only ones that are really your fast units here.
I'm assuming this is all the units you can trade for that we're seeing. I don't remember playing this map with this unit set.
My damn push to talk still not working. Oh well, I'm just gonna deal with it.
I don't know. Are the wolves standard here, or can you trade for them? Because it looks like there's 20 on each side.
I'm pretty sure you could trade for them. Yeah, because it looks like if you didn't max them, it looks like there's some gaps in where they are. I'm pretty sure you could trade for them. Do the both teams have the same number? 9. I'm seeing 15.
Actually, yeah,
I see 20 for them, and maybe it is 20 for both. Yeah, it is 20. So maybe you can't trade them. Never mind. Take it back. Or maybe that's max. It's either you could trade. Either you can't trade for them, or 20 is max for the trade, and both teams maxed them.
Wondering, was this not? It looks like both teams have the same trade.
That is a good question. Yeah,
Let me check.
it very well
Go back
might have
out.
been.
Yeah, it was not. That's exactly why.
Gotcha.
Oh, so that's I love that because what you're gonna see here is how okay, I'm paused at 0. What you're gonna see here is how even if the trades are identical, similar to that Tro winter map that we saw where the trades were almost identical as well. Here, you're gonna see the same thing. Trades are gonna be identical, but there's gonna be a huge difference in the strategies, and it's gonna play out. So there's two ways you can kind of play this. Either you do like a one flank jugger to try and get the wolves in real quick on one side and hope that you catch the opponent out of position and not ready to adjust to it really quick, and like just get your wolves in real quick, and then be able, because once all your wolves are in, you can shift to just focusing on their wolves or defending the flags against their wolves. That's the first way. Or the second way is you can just play it slow and kind of like defend or BC for most of the game and be focused on getting the wolves at the end of the game when there's less units on the map. So what you're going to see here is that's the two approaches that these two teams take. We take the I remember doing the strat for this. I thought about doing the Jugger rush on the Wolves, and I just didn't see it being super effective. So we're gonna just do do a 3-prong, try to BC fight them, and worry about getting the Wolves in near later on, and they're gonna do a 1-flank Jugger. So
I feel like you have to play the BC game with this unit set. There's no pus, dwarf heroes, and fetch. Like,
I agree. That's why I didn't like it. It just feels like the arty is too strong, and like trying to push into this arty, you're gonna just take so much damage. So yeah.
So both teams, we both do a 1-2-1 fetch split, but on our team, our single fetchers also have 2 Duff heroes as well, which I don't like putting Duff and fetch together. I mean, it's impossible to sync your attacks together. So I kind of like that where you can manually control like the alternating attacks.
Kirk, I actually remember I was struggling to do the strat on this one, even though it's nut, and you'd think nut was like it removes so many variables that the strat should be easier. I still found this one quite difficult to strat for. And I remember you and Ghengis had some input for me, and I think what you just mentioned was I agree with you, by the way. Like normally I try to keep the fetchers and dwarfers separate so that they're not like the dwarfers are not blowing up the fetchers or whatnot. But in this case, I think you and Ghengis had made the good point that give the fetchers the dwarfs because they can use those dwarfs to bottle the water on the crossings and make it really tough for, and then the fetchers can ignite the bottles in the water. And that makes for a kind of a difficult combination for the opponent to deal with. And so I think that was the idea behind that.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I think that was Ghengis and yours idea. One of yours or both of your all's idea. I don't think I even thought of that. So yeah,
Just the propensity for collateral damage when you have one person fetching and duffing near each other. I mean, it's going to happen. It's just inevitable.
Yeah, and I think that's why I only trusted you and Ghengis with those units because it's like you have to be kind of a better player and can handle your micro better to really make sure that doesn't happen, right? So it's definitely a risky, more dangerous unit set to have. We also have, let's see, this is so interesting. Okay, so Abs has just 2 fetch, and then Monty has 2 dwarf heroes as well. Interesting. What the hell does... Oh, I remember also, I think I gave the wolves to Abs, even though he's not actually going to be controlling them. I'm controlling them, but I did that to hide and confuse them about where the wolves will be going. And I do that sometimes as captain on the Stampede. I like to hide. I like to usually control the Stampede units myself, but I like to hide where they're going to be or who has them by handing them off to somebody else. But I can still control them, right? And I just tell that guy like, hey, these units you're going to have them, but don't touch them, and I'll be controlling them the whole time. So adds a little element of like confusion to the opponent.
Yeah, that's a good call out.
I'm trying to figure out what the hell does Browning have. I don't see what he had. Oh, he has just archers. Okay, so just
he's got some Zerks too.
Yeah, so Paris, Browning, and I have archer Zerk squads. Okay, I gotcha. Interesting. So I wanted the Stigs with the arty. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Okay. So I think we just do a 3-prong and we're just trying to like look for the BC fight. They end up doing split their archers 2 ways. Again, it's kind of similar like with their fetch, right? Like NC seems to lean towards splitting their arty less, doing less splits with their arty. In this case, they did split the fetch though, finally. I mean, it would be insane if they put all the fetchers in one person's hand on this map, right? Like, that'd just be crazy. So they didn't do that, at least. They did, actually, just the archers that they did 2 ways. They opted to do more splits on the other arty. So fair enough. I totally think what they did is totally fine, too. We just had a little bit of a different idea of, like, having actually 2 players with dwarf heroes and fetch together so that they could easily ignite their own bottles however they saw fit on the water crossings, I think was the only difference really there. Other than that, the splits are pretty much the same, but the big difference is like the overall strategy and direction. So we'll see that play out here. Are you guys ready to start it?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm at 0.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go.
Game on.
So I got a question for you, GKG. So I know in recent years you sort of like the idea of having a captain that can heavy hit. This year you sort of taking a backseat captain. So take this to modern times. If you could build a roster as strong as the Bullz, do you think being a backseat captain would be smart? And you just like to do the heavy hitting role now because, generally the rosters are a little bit weaker in the finals?
It's always better if you have... I mean, fuck, dude. Like, there's not too many players I can fully trust to play as well as me, but fuck, Kirk and Ghengis are definitely those two players, right? Like, there's probably only like one or... I don't even know, like, who else I can name. Like, LSO now in more recent years, right? But there's, like, not... Like, this is just such a rare team. Like, I have not just one, but two fucking players it's like I can fully trust. And that's always better. Like, it's always better for me as the captain to not have to do the biggest fucking unit sets. That's always better. However, I just want to put the caveat on this. Like, I don't like it when the captains don't take a role at all. I think that's a mistake. Your team is playing short a player. Like, I as a captain am still going to take a normal squad. I just wouldn't take the most important squads necessarily. And every now and then I still take an important squad. Sometimes it still makes sense, right? So you want to have all the options available to you, all those weapons available to you. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about this before, and I think you raised a really good point about it, like how I was overemphasizing like LSO and I's ability to heavy hit and captain. It really comes down to the support that you have, though. You were right about that. Like, the support that you have is crucial. Like, maybe I can do it a little bit, but like I've fucked it up so many times. It's definitely not something I can do consistently. You basically get lucky sometimes or not with it. Sometimes you get lucky with it. Sometimes you get punished for it. It's not consistent though without that with some additional support. So NC is trying to... We don't see that they have a big push yet. Their north seems kind of heavy, but we don't know that the wolves are north yet. We don't see that. I'm shifting north. You see my archer shifting north, so I'm already kind of suspicious that the north is going to be a big push. Ghengis is doing a really great job bottling them up in that water crossing. They're trying to be very aggressive at that north, pushing hard. Like, they had all 4 of their fetch up there, I'm pretty sure. Kirk also being very aggressive, countering on the south side, which I like. Our mid is also being very aggressive, and our north is just trying to hold. Now,
I could slip the wolves through mid right now, possibly.
Yeah, and you're gonna see that. You're gonna see that happen. This is why I don't like their strategy. Like, yeah, they're gonna be able to rush some wolves in, but I always felt confident that I could be able to pick off some wolves. And as long as I'm able to pick off some wolves, I feel still safe. So that's what's gonna end up happening. We see that they're north. We see their wolves now in the north. I'm calling our mid to push mid. Yep, I'm calling our wolves. I tell my guys mid, get the wolves in mid. So I want to counter immediately. And now I know that I just need to, okay, I'm surprised I'm only now just seeing their wolves. Like, they're like right in front of me. Like, I'm kind of blind. I should have saw that earlier. I guess I'm looking around too much, I think. I'm just too busy. I realized at this point, though, that my Zerks need to just run down their wolves, and I just need to pick off some wolves. If they were just a little bit slower, if they were just a little bit slower in protecting their wolves, they were too aggressive trying to push them in, so I'm able to pick some off. But I think if they had just waited for their arty to defend their wolves better, they might have stood a better chance of winning this game. But we're doing a great job countering through mid too, so they're trying not to like wait too long either. The wolves get handed off to Parish. Parish got the wolves mid right now. Ghengis is doing a phenomenal job this game. He was fighting like 3v1 and still doing a great job holding them off. I'm just trying to pick off some wolves with my Zerks. I just need to try and get like a couple of them to just try and make sure they have fewer than us. I haven't picked one off yet. Oh, this is super close.
Kill us back, Juan. Oh, to see that.
Oh, I'm surprised I didn't
Oh,
pick off
no.
more.
Okay, you killed one. You
I
got
killed
the crucial
two.
kill.
I killed
did you
two.
get two?
Somehow I got
Okay.
two. I don't even see where the second body is. But
Yeah, I don't see the second corpse either.
yeah. I'm
Maybe
surprised
they-
I didn't kill more than that, though, to be honest. Like, they actually did a really good job. But it looks like we're going to get all of ours in, because they could not do anything against our wolves, so... So, yeah, it was kind of a close game. Not close in percentage, though. Like, we BC'd the shit out of them everywhere. Like, our south and mid just, like, crushed them hard.
I mean, they did get their wolves in first, though. I want to know where that second wolf died, because if you had already killed that second wolf like way earlier, then okay, it wasn't as close as it seemed. But if like, where did it die? I have no idea.
I think
Because
Gang...
that last wolf that died, man, that was like a split second from getting in.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I mean, yeah, if they handled their wolves better, they would have beaten us there.
I can't find the corpse. I'm looking
It was
for
really
it.
that was surprisingly a close game. I thought we had won it stronger than this, but looking at it again, I think that was a very close game. Do you want me to? I can look at the replay again real quick. You want to see where that other wolf died?
Sure. I mean, if you
Yeah,
killed
is it possible it died when it was like right before it vanished and there was just no carcass?
I don't know. Let's look at it again real quick. I'll skim
Okay.
through real quick here.
I'm gonna look elsewhere on the map, see if they have like one wolf somewhere else.
I'm gonna count them too. 5, 10, 15. Pretty sure I see all 20 of them. No, hang on, no. Let me pause it. Hang on. 5, 10. No, all 20 of them are out there.
Oh, yep. So you killed one earlier on, and then it looks like a fetch eradicated it.
Let me see that real quick.
Okay, you killed it pretty early, actually. Okay, you guys knew that as long as your wolf survived, you won then. Okay, that's interesting.
Was it on my first push?
It was at like 9:40.
Okay.
They were near the flag, but you clearly killed it before they were running for it.
Okay.
Yeah,
So it was on my first push. Yeah. Okay.
It was
Yeah.
closest, but
Oh,
still
I see why we didn't see it because the fetch blew up the body. I see. Yeah. Yeah. So I was wondering what I was doing there.
Clearly won.
I was wondering what I was doing there. I was like, man, I like just did this huge dive in and didn't pick up a single wolf kill, and I let the wolves get around me. I was like, what the fuck did I just do there? Yeah, no, I got one wolf. Yeah. Yep.
That's an important wolf kill too, because if you didn't get that, it's a coin flip at that point.
Well, I had the second one too. I mean, as long as I got either one.
You did, but that second one was close.
Yeah, it was super close. Yeah, for sure. All right, cool. Yeah, that was a super close game. I mean, it's pretty well played by both sides. Ghengis just did a great job holding them off on that north, slowing them down. And then our other two flanks did a really great... Basically, everybody did a fucking great job. I did a great job just picking off the... Everybody did exactly what they needed to do. Fuck it. I love seeing great team games like that. Like, everybody did exactly what they needed to do. It was great.
Your mid identified almost exactly the right time that they needed to start their push.
Yeah.
They're literally like 5 seconds slow, and that's being from a perspective where they have fog. So like
5 seconds is pretty quick. That's like most teams you see that's like it's like 30 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes. You know what I mean? Like
they were definitely reading the game right. They did their job there. Very different trades in this game.
Yeah, this was a very... I remember this one. This game I think we even covered one or two of these already, Asmo, prior episodes. And every time we saw both teams get heavy souls. So this is the first time we're going to see like our team does no souls, which I think is the proper way to play this. And we realize that it's super hard to defend the fetch on this, and so we just want to set up like a pin on their fetch and do a suicide rush on them. If we feel we can finish the fetch, we'll pull the trigger and do a suicide rush on them. Otherwise, we'll just run the timer out and pin their fetch and not engage. That's kind of the general idea.
I want to say the time we saw this was literally the finals the year prior with MC.
Yeah.
So you guys probably knew what they were doing. Like, sure.
I think so. I think I identified it as a big weakness. But it's not like I picked this map; it just happened to come up again. So
Well, it was at this point we already knew that we won the match, so it was just kind of one of those like, hey, we pretty much steamrolled them up to this point. I mean, maybe not as close as we thought, but at this point we're just looking to pad our lead.
Yeah,
4-1
that's a good
right now,
point.
right?
Yeah, 4-1. Yeah, that's a good point. I totally forgot that the last game we just watched actually decided the match. The match was already over. The whole tournament is over already at this point now. So.
And you'll notice, like, I didn't shit talk at all, but once we actually won, like, you'll see, like, some of the things I say in this game and everything, like, just everything's directed at Myrk, of course, because he was shit talking, and all those guys just deserved it.
Yeah. There was definitely a lot of bad blood, and there was definitely good. Like at the end of the day, Kirk, you and I cannot feel too bad about the shit talking because you and I know if we had lost this, we would have fucking been on the receiving end of it, right? So I mean, people have to always understand. Like, people always thought like I was an asshole for talking a bunch of shit, but it's like if the situations were reversed, I guarantee you, like, we would have been on the receiving end of a bunch of shit talk just the same. So you gotta let the winners have their due. People gotta have their due. If they had won, I would have given them their due too. I've been like, look, yep, it's their day today. They get the shit talk. That's how it works, right? So, I see they have limp on Tro. I guess nowadays. Asmo, you and I probably would have chose Sam on Tro, right? Like, I don't know how well known Sam was as a Troer though at this point in time. Is the only thing I can think of. Yeah, or Eastwind. Yeah, exactly. I definitely wouldn't have chosen Limp. Limp is an odd choice to me. I would go Sam or Eastwind for sure.
So I think Limp's an okay Trower if it's intended to be a more passive Trow map, which isn't very many to be honest. But like if it were Grilling Grounds, for example, sure you can put with one Trow. But for these aggressive Trow maps, which is like 80% of them, if not more, I definitely would take Sam or Eastwind.
Yeah, totally agree with that. I noticed I have Kirk throwing on this one. I think if I recall correctly, I think I just asked Kirk and Ghengis, like, hey, which one do y'all want to throw this? And Ghengis didn't care, and Kirk wanted to do it, and that's kind of how that got decided. Ghengis, I assume, is on a melee pack. I remember I ended up... Actually, where... Is Ghengis... Oh, he's on Morts. Okay. Oh, okay. So the other thing here, I think the reason also I wanted Ghengis on double Morts, my double Morts guys... I guess. Oh, everybody had double morts. Yeah. So the reason I put all the mortars on double morts is because, in order for morts to be really effective with against fetch, they have to stagger their shots. And this is something I see people fuck up all the time. Whenever you have morts fighting fetch, the mortars need to have two, like in the hands of one player, so they can stagger. It's literally like one shot and then a second delay and the second shot. It's like a 1 second between shots, something like that, or maybe even less than a second. Maybe it's like half a second, because that makes it much more difficult for fetch to block them, and that's way more effective. The morts don't outrange the fetch that much without a height advantage, so it's very easy for the fetchers typically to block the mort shots. Unless you have double morts and can stagger the shots, it's way more complicated then for the fetcher. And usually you will end up, especially against anybody but a top fetcher, they will usually fumble it and fuck up and get their fetch picked off. It's just a matter of time trying to fight double morts like that.
This is one of my favorite maps, like the different unit sets that you can do on this, like Shadow and everything. But like, I don't know, just the way it's set up, like, with the shallow water and like the different crossings, it's one of my favorite.
Yeah, I agree. Havergilmir is like just such a great map on just the map terrain itself, and then all the meshes too are just great on it.
This is arguably the best map ever made in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
Very good.
It's really it's up there for sure. The other thing I want to point out, a big difference in this trade here is they go heavy locks, max locks, and we go max morts, no locks. And the reason for that, again, and I think we're correct in this, is that the locks can just be blocked so easily. You have fetch and locks together automatically make the locks less valuable because the fetch can just block them all day. You also have morts. You have Tro, you have other fast, powerful melee. All these things block lock shots all day. And so it's really going to be just difficult for the locks to get enough damage, especially trying to defend a heavy like suicide rush on your fetch. The locks aren't going to be able to defend that very well because they can't force the enemy melee to spread out behind because the blocker's just going to be in their face blocking, and then the enemy melee is going to still be in the back clumped up ready to melee fight, right? So it's only the fetch and the morts that can really force the enemy melee to spread out. So I think that's, yeah, I mean, I think it's a big miss with the souls and the locks on their trade. It's going to be a big miss. You're going to see, what you're going to see us do is that I have a big melee pack. So again, this is one of those instances where I, as the captain, still take a pretty crucial, somewhat heavy hitting role. I'm not troing, but it's a really big melee pack. And I think it's like all the Myrks maybe. Oh no, it's a mixed squad. But it's a heavy Myrk Zerk squad, and you're going to see me try and flank behind them. And the reason for that is we're trying to get a surround on their fetch and just pin their fetch and look for the opportunity to do a suicide rush on their fetch. The only way they can really defend it is the way to defend a suicide rush on the fetch on this is the fetchers have to use some terrain to block like either the side of the map. Ideally the corner of the map is the best spot to actually defend them from, but they have to find some terrain to cover their fetch up and prevent us from getting a full surround on them. If we get a full 360 surround on them with a huge melee advantage, we're definitely going to pull the trigger on the suicide rush, and it's almost impossible to defend it. So I mean, think about it. Even the Tro can suicide rush into their fetch. Like there's Tro on this. Like, even just stopping the 2 Tro is super difficult to do, to stop them from suicide rushing on the fetch. So, you guys ready to start it?
Yep.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go.
Game on.
Yeah, I think melee packs, especially on dark maps, is a really good unit set for a captain because it's like a super tactical unit set that you can make a lot of plays, but also it gives you a lot of freedom to look around the map because you're pretty safe.
Yeah, fast melee packs in general I love taking as a captain because they're very strategic unit sets, similar as Tro, because they can roam all over the map. That makes them very dynamic, complicated roles that the person who has the fullest understanding of the strategy can gain the fullest benefit from, which would be whoever actually did the strategies, but in my case, I was the captain and the strategist, so
I mean, with their strat so far, they're really cutting themselves off of, I mean, they're basically just making themselves only going to fight in the southeast.
Which, by the way, I do think is the correct move for them to do. With an already heavy trade, they have to all stay together, and they have to try to hug the side of the map. But you're going to see that they didn't hug the map very well. But yeah, they're basically giving up full control of the map. This will make it very easy for us to surround them. And that's actually a great... my little melee pack that goes around is kind of like the perfect counter to what they're trying to do. Because I'm going to get right behind them, and we're going to set up this full surround on them pretty quick. Kirk's doing a great job gut checking the middle and just quickly trying to identify exactly where they are. He already realizes they're probably south because they're Tro, he sees their Tro south. So already we're probably like, yeah, their whole army is south. We can pretty much tell. Limp being very
I like
aggressive.
their whites, but I mean, with them positioning themselves, like, we're not really going to be down in that area for them to really utilize the whites anyway.
Yeah, they would have to have some force holding the choke with the white. Otherwise, I'm just going to spread my melee out and go through the crossing one at a time. And they're not... Oh my god, Limp takes heavy damage with his Tro. Oh, I missed it. Yeah, so Limp...
Ooh, wow, what just happened?
Limp makes a huge mistake here. It's so funny, we were just talking about him being a passive Troer, and now he's being like super aggressive. Again...
I missed though. How did he take so much damage?
He just tried to engage. He tried to engage with Xerxen. Yeah,
Magic Dust.
maybe. I think he was just. I missed it honestly on my camera, unfortunately, because I totally wasn't expecting him to do that. But he said I wanted to kick useless melee. Because I think what's going on here is because they already lost the match. They're just like in full I don't give a fuck mode. I think that's what's happening here, basically.
That's typical Limp.
Yeah, very typical Limp, exactly. So, They were going to lose the game, though, no matter what, even without that. So it's really not going to matter that much.
Oh man, they have a ton of locks. What the heck?
Yeah, look at all these. They can't even get enough line of sight with all their locks to get all of them in with a proper position to fire from. Like that's the other reason. This is a prime example of too much arty in too close of a space. Look at this. The locks and the fetch don't have a firing line.
Yeah, they can't fire, dude. There's literally too many of them.
Yeah.
Their whites are useless, and then they have one like walking right behind their army too. So it's just completely.
Yeah, like I'm going in like pretty
ineffective.
spread out. Like they couldn't wipe me that badly.
Yeah, for their strategy, I do like the whites, like you said, but they probably should have positioned a little bit better for them to be useful.
Oh, we got a fetch down already. That was Parish. Parish had a nice shot. It's really foolish. I would not, if I was a fetcher on this, I would not engage double morts with fetch. I think it's just way too risky. Especially with the fetch being the assassin unit. I mean, if they were going to do their strategy, they can't be down. You know what I mean? Like, they have to at least keep it tied. So we got a full surround now. We're going to set up this. Okay, go in. I'm calling for the go in right now. So already you see Kirk being super aggressive. I'm coming in from behind. We have all of our arty. This is a really nice push we got going. Everybody's got great push with arty and melee. Full surround.
They're actually way up in percentage.
Yeah, they do have a big percentage advantage, but they're trash.
But they're
Super injured.
yeah.
Yeah, we're just going on
gosh.
there. We're going on the fetch. So
That
yeah,
was so
it's already
fast.
over.
Like,
Yeah, you just suicide rush into the fetch. Like I'm not even worried about anything else. The only way they can stop it is they have to body block. They have to literally have enough melee body blocking the fetch to prevent me from getting. If our melee can get to the fetch, the melee is too strong. You're not going to be able to stop it before the fetch are dead, right? So, yeah, that was a very quick game. They kind of, I mean, you saw Limp kind of just giving up there, I guess, in the beginning, but you know, whatever.
it's unfortunate that this Game 7 was a Game 7. I mean, if it was a close series, I guess it would have been cool, but this is one of my favorite picks of the series.
Really, Game 7, interesting. Even though it's last man on the hill, you like that?
I do. I like the map in general. I mean, maybe not last man in the hill.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Game type.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, me too.
The map in general, I like.
Yeah, I hear you. All right, I'm loading up the last one here. Yep, Kirk's starting to talk some shit. I'm saying at least you guys got seeding in the QR because we tied them in the QR and they gave them #1 seed, even though there was like no real justification. Like it was just a tie, really, but they just gave it to them. Didn't matter in the end. So this is one of those strats that we do that's like not fun, but to me, I blame last man on the hill pick. To me, I'm still gonna strat for what the game type is. So again, like we go for a full max melee trade. We're not trying to BC fight them at all. We see some big deep water that our thrall can hide in. And so we're just going to run the timer out and try and do a big rush at the end for the flag. And they end up getting like almost the worst possible trade to counter it because they go almost max archers. So if they had gone less archers, like 10 or 12 archers, like we might have been in more trouble with our trade and strategy. But they just went so heavy into the archers that actually worked really well to our advantage.
On.
Forgot to pause it. I'm at 9:58.
I'm at 55, but go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
Let's go to 55.
yeah, I'll go to 55. Yeah, I'll just go to 55. Yeah, there's not much too much else to say about this, I guess. Do you guys have any other comments about this before we start it?
Now we can start.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, go.
I hope that when NC identifies your trade, This might sound stupid, but I feel like it's the only thing they can attempt to do is they try to force fights with their archer, even though it's going to put them out of position to get rushed, but you can't wait till end game once they identify your trade.
Yeah, totally agree. And that's exactly correct. Like, yes, you need to be aggressive with the archers, but it's going to put you in a position to be rushed.
I mean, it's a lose-lose, but you got to try it, right?
Yeah, like, well, and when you get rushed, you just sacrifice the archers and keep everything else alive. At least your archers got some damage, you know what I mean? So...
Oh.
I do that all the time, by the way. If I got an archer force that's getting rushed and I know I'm gonna die, I just at least position myself so that the archers get whatever damage they can. They're kind of like the first to die, and I save everything else. You know, that always minimizes the amount. You don't want to get like all your fast melee picked off trying to defend the archers, and then the archers die too, and now you lost everything. You know, you want to minimize your losses still, at least in that situation. So they do they're very spread out. I don't know if I would spread out as much as what they're doing, given their trade. So again, you know, we were just calling it Asmo, but I don't actually think they do that. We'll have to see, but also I don't like these little three archer squad, one dwarf squads that they do. Like we've seen them do this in the past too. NP is kind of famous for doing this as well. I'm really not a fan of it at all.
It's just ineffective. I mean, you only have 3 arrows going, like only one of them, maybe lands. But if you got 6 of them, then
I'd much rather have a dedicated archer with 6 archers and a dedicated dwarfer with 2 dwarfs. You know what I mean? Like I think that's a much more effective use of your players. Yeah, it's hard to hit anything with a 3 archer volley. It's just not enough.
Yeah, looks like they're just gonna sit back and wait till end game.
Yeah, they got us pushed to our deep water, but they can't really do anything else. And that was the idea behind our strat. We knew that they couldn't, the Thrall in that deep water, they can't really move. This is like the perfect map. And we even got the maybe arguably more advantageous side to do this because we got like the 2 deep waters there. The other side only had kind of 1. Those Thrall like protect us on our little side of the map. They can't really cross there because they'll just get surrounded and Thrall rush if they do.
They should be, if they're not pushing in, they should be bottling up the water everywhere and hope for like some freaking miracle plus bottle.
They are. Combo. They're throwing a bunch of bottles in the middle.
Oh, the middle.
The flag,
okay.
Yeah. I'm telling my guys to like everybody just be super disciplined. Don't do shit. Don't throw anything. And I also am telling my guys to save all of our pus for their dwarfs.
Yeah, it's like the only way you guys lose the game right now is like someone's, oh, I'm bored, let me go in and do my own thing.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what you see so many teams do. But yeah, we were super disciplined. So I'm happy about that. Even though like the game didn't matter. And yeah, we just have to focus all the pus on the dwarfs, which is like 90% of the time that's what you want to do, is always save all your pus for the dwarfs anyway. So dwarfs are the only thing that matter for us right now. The only way they stop this is if their dwarfs are able to clean up all our thrall. If they can do that, then they will win. But there's a ton of water, and the other reason I like this is because there's a ton of water on the middle flag. As soon as our thrall get into that middle water, it's going to be super hard for their dwarfs to be effective. I don't know if this was like the first time. I can't remember of an earlier time a strategy like this being done where you just camp to the end. I'm sure it was done, but it doesn't come to my mind anyway.
And they have no play at all. Like they don't know what to do. They're just kind of sitting there, just waiting for things to develop. And well, that was a nice pus bomb there.
Abs had a great pus bomb. So this was the one exception to spending your pus, was if you could kill the dwarf, and Abs did it. That was a great bottle pus by Abs, honestly. He killed the dwarf and and got a couple warriors red. That was a great shot. I killed a Stig too, I think. That was a great shot. We're fully surrounding them, so all our fast melee. You can see like the way we set up this surround. We don't want any fast melee on the same side. Actually, we do have a fast melee. We have Ghengis. I probably in hindsight, I would have moved Ghengis to a different spot because I wouldn't normally want any fast melee on the same side as the Thrall because there's just so many Thrall on that side anyway. It's just too clumped up. Ghengis could be either north or south of those Thrall right now.
Flag captured.
They're like super concerned about me and where I'm at. I don't know why, because you got Kirk and Parish with similar squads on the other side.
Yeah, I mean, Adrenaline's doing what I was wanting them to do the whole game, but it's so weird because usually what Adrenaline's doing would be like the worst possible thing, but for whatever reason in this scenario, it's like the only thing they should be doing.
Yeah, he's being more aggressive with the archers as he should. Yeah. Yeah, their archers are just they're not trying to do anything. Like you said, Adren's the only one who's kind of trying to push, and he's got Kirk in range a little bit. I'm surprised they didn't try to set up any kind of push. Like try to trap Paris in the north or something. You know what I mean? Like they should have tried to set up a trap, probably north or south or something, right? Yeah, in fact, if I was them, that's exactly what I would have done. I would have told my whole team, we're going to pick either Kirk or Paris, one of the two, and everybody just needs to get a full surround on them and trap them. At least then you would be doing something, right?
I mean, south is wide open now. Like, Adren can follow me all he wants, but just going to get rolled over.
Yeah. Paris is now also in... I doubt Paris would have just stayed where he was, too, if he saw them, moving to surround him. So it would have been hard for them to try and pull off a surround, but that's like the only move they could have tried to do. Okay, I think we're going to call the rush at about 140-ish or so. The Thrall are kind of slow. We do need a little bit of time to get there. Or maybe it's 1 minute. Probably 1 minute. Yeah, 1 minute sounds right. I do remember our Thrallers didn't do a great job spreading out. They were not nearly spread out enough. I would have liked to have seen one of our Thrallers come out and move actually just straight west to south of the flag near where I'm at, because there's enough room for them to just get more spread out, because there's so many freaking Thrall. So our Thrall rush definitely could have been a lot better here. And we're going to be calling the go now. Yep, here we go, 115-ish or so. I should have checked my Thrallers' formations, because looking at the formation that they're using, it's just not spread out. Yeah, they're not nearly spread out enough. They should be way more spread than that.
They're saying ignore Thrall right now? I'd be going for the Thrall. What is saying ignore Thrall?
Yeah, ignore Thrall is weird, I agree. The dwarfs need to be on that Thrall.
As much damage on it as possible before they get on the flag.
Ghengis had a bad pus there. Really needed that pus to be good too. So we got those 2 or 3 dwarfs that they got on our Thrall is what we really need to get down. Oh! Browning has a miss on his pus on the dwarf too. So our pussing has not been very good so far on these dwarfs. So their dwarfs are able to do some decent work. Okay, one of their dwarfs go down to melee.
Flag contested.
There's just too much Thrall on the flag now, though. Like, they're just gonna get pushed off.
Yeah, and now the Thrall in the water. As soon as they get the water, they're screwed. Kirk, you had like a duel with Adren like the whole freaking game, pretty much.
Yeah, I don't know how my pus. I didn't see it there, but I don't think it was too effective.
Yeah, I didn't see any good pusses by us, really. But our melee is just enough to, like,
Flag contested.
just the sheer number of melee is able to, like, run down their dwarfs, basically. Yeah. Even though the percentages are even, they even have a slight percent advantage right now. We just have too many thrall, and they're down to their last dwarf, I think.
Most of their percent is archers right now.
Yeah. They have their percent in the wrong things. And now the percentages are starting to swing. Their last dwarf is down. We still have a dwarf. Well, our dwarf's about to go down too. Yeah, it's just too many thrall. They to be fair, they did get us down a lot more than I would have thought. Like, it was still kind of close. Not super close, but they did put up a good fight there, given how terrible of a trade and position they were in.
Game over.
None of our pus was super effective, and our thrall were too clumped up. So it was even kind of sloppy on our part, but it was still enough to still comfortably win. Parish had a big game. Yeah, I saw him do pretty good on the north side there. Abs had that great bottle pus. Adren, I agree with you, Asmo. I think Adren was like the only one kind of doing the right thing throughout the game with those trying to get his archers in, which Adren, I think he has missed that play in many times we've watched in the past, but in this game he made the right call. So
I didn't even notice Homer was in this game.
yep, yeah. So we must have rotated out. Who were we rotating out sitting? We saw
No one, just Homer this last game.
Homer played though.
Yeah, this last game. That was game 7 though.
Oh, did Homer sit a bunch of the other games or something?
Yeah,
I think Monty, right?
Oh, Monty. Yeah, we're missing Monty. Monty's not in this game.
So Monty's sitting this one. Homer's watching another one, but didn't play the other one.
Yeah, I think we rotated like Homer, Monty. I don't remember if Browning or anybody else sat. It might have been mostly just Homer and Monty.
I think those were the only two. I think Browning played every game.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it might have been just rotating Homer and then Monty. Yeah, so that was Blade. I didn't actually see how Blade did in the match. I actually don't remember too much about, other than Adren and Shy. And maybe Eastwind. I don't remember too much, and Limp. I don't remember half their team kind of throughout the match. I don't know. It's kind of weird, but
He had some decent stats, but actual gameplay I didn't really say.
yeah. Looks like Blade had a decent game. I'm not sure how his match was, but Limp, this was actually kind of one of the weaker matches I seen from Limp. It's kind of hard. It's hard to say because like their strats were they just lost on strategy for the most part, right? Like their players weren't really set up for success, and so it's hard to really judge the player side of things. I think the strategies had the bigger influence here than the player and BC fighting for their team. That was a fun one. I haven't watched that in a long, long time. Yeah, I really like. This was kind of like the first time these style of strategies, at least to this strong of a focus, were done. Of course, you'd see some similar strategies in the past, but like, I think anybody who did these type of strategies did them kind of more inconsistently. I think I was maybe the first one to do them like much more consistently like this, and really focusing on really designing the strategy around the game type, really managing the game timer. You saw that in a couple of our games, like with the Lycan, really milking the game timer on that, milking the game timer on this. So yeah, I think this year was like starting to see some elevated strategic elements to the game. So. I mean, is that fair to say, or am I biased?
No, I think it was fair. I mean, it felt like we rolled over them pretty easily when playing those games. So like looking at it after the fact, some of them were a little bit closer than what we thought, but realistically looking at them, like it was a well executed plan from start to finish.
Yeah, I'm really proud of the execution of our team on our side of things. Anyway, team executed well. Like it's kind of like I think the Bullz is like a prime example of like a BC powerhouse team that also has that like team discipline and strategy. Like there's been other examples of like very BC oriented teams in the past, but they did not have the kind of strategic sophistication or like team. Like there was still that team element there that so many other BC teams usually are missing, right? That was, I think, what was unique about this team this year.
Yeah, good stuff. I mean, I probably haven't watched those since 2011 after they happened, but yeah, great team, great season.
Yeah, Asmo, any final thoughts before we wrap it up?
It was definitely one of the Mithril Cups we watched to this point where the team just seemed to be in sync from like start to finish.
Yeah,
Some of the other ones, even like dominant ones, the team still didn't look in sync to the extent that you guys were.
yeah. I think like the quality of play on this team, like the only other thing I can really compare it to is NC in '09. Like that was a really strong team too. Actually, Armageddon in '08, pretty good too. There's some other good teams too. I don't want to like discount that, but I don't know, it just didn't quite have the polish, I think, as some of these other teams that we're mentioning. Yeah, I forgot. Oh, I was going to ask you, Asmo. We didn't talk about this. What the hell were you doing in 2011?
I was in Mithril Cup. I was on. I don't remember the name of the team. I want to say it's fourth place team. It was like me, Apollo, Fire, maybe Cryptos. Then I think he jumped ship to another team, and I can't remember who else. So yeah, like Gamer from Poop and stuff like that.
Interesting. I'm surprised Apollo was not on the NC roster if he was playing, because I would have thought like that was one of their boys.
I can't remember if it was him. It might have been Cryptos, but I want to say that he was on my team like through the quarter round, maybe even like D1 or 2, and then I feel like I got mad this year. Like Grim stole him from my roster. I want to say I think it was Appy, and he joined like Team Happy Face.
That's right, Team Happy Knit Face. That wasn't that the Donsky team?
It was like Donsky, Karma, Grim. I can't remember who
Yeah,
else.
yeah.
And it's because he's like a key player on our team. As soon as he left, like I was pretty upset because our whole dynamic changed. Like losing a player like Appy is massive for our team. That's like a third, fourth place team.
Is he pretty good, or why do you say that?
Yeah, he was really good. I mean, he was never like very active in tournaments. Like he would always play in them, but like never played a lot. So it's hard to really like identify him as like that type of player. But no, he's definitely good. He's like solid four baller for sure.
I also want to point out that this year, 2011, people want to say how like the later MWCs were like weak or whatever, but 2011 was a surprisingly strong year. You had four very, very strong contending teams. Like the number 3 team was a full NP team. You know what I mean? They were like, yeah, they were not in full care mode or whatever you want to say, but like it was a full NP roster, like with Rabican capping. Like
I forgot MP was in this tournament.
yeah, we beat them. I thought in the top bracket finals. I thought actually. I don't. Yeah, we played NC. I think in DE like the match before, or even DE2. Like early in the tournament, we played NC, and sent them to the bottom bracket. I'm pretty sure is how that played out. Which was, by the way, a very close match. It was a very close match, but we ended up stomping them in this finals. But the previous match we had against them, it was like DE2, like very close match, and it was NP that we had to play in the top bracket finals, and that was also a very good match. We still won that very comfortably. I think also like 4-1 or 6-1 or whatever. How many? We only lost one, I think, on that match too, but still very hard fought match against NP. And then, of course, the Donsky team was a perfectly solid team, too. They kind of underperformed, or like, I don't know if they had some attendance issues or something like that. But, like, they were still a very solid roster. And this was, like, the last year that a lot of players played. Like, Kirk, you kind of stopped playing, kind of. I can't remember what year if you ever...
This was my last competitive MWC. I did appear... And a few years later, just kind of a later role. Like, what were they doing? They were doing those, I don't know, like you could just substitute anybody in or something. It just didn't feel, the same to me. So I don't really put that much weight on it. But I think NP didn't really, I think they kind of disbanded after this year too.
Yeah, so... It was your last year. It was Grimm's last year, I'm pretty sure, too. Oh, no, Grimm was in 2012. So 2012 might have been his last year. People were starting to drop off after around this time. Kirk, while you're here, I forgot to mention, we might as well talk about it real quick. You played actually with us briefly in 2018 for like 2 or 3 games, right? Do you remember that?
I do, yeah. I can't remember, like why. Like, I don't understand. I just kind of like came around, and and GKG, you were on it, and I think Asmodian, you were on it too, right?
I was on the opposing team, but yeah.
Yeah, I just kind of played like small roles, but yeah, give me a rundown of what took place there.
Yeah, so what happened was, we haven't done that episode yet. 2018 was like such a shit show for my team. But there was like a salary cap, basically that year, and I would say they rigged the ratings against my team pretty much, and so like I was forced to play short a player. So we had to play short a player the entire tournament, and there was a full NP team that we played against, but they got to have a player advantage over us. So we ended up playing them in the finals, and we played most of the match 7v6, I think, or about half the match at least, I guess. We had to play the whole tournament 6 players basically, and including some of the finals, like at least like half or so of the finals, and then about halfway through or so, Kruniak. It was Kruniak's idea, and actually I think he talked to me about it before the match even. Similar to the Honkey situation in 2011, right? Like he's like, hey, I know you got beef with Kirk, but Kruniak, it's full credit to Kruniak. It was Kruniak's idea. He wanted you on the team. Basically our play was like, we had to play shorter player, but it's still better if we play 8v7 rather than 7v6, right? And there was nobody else that we could really go to. So, it was Kruniak's idea is like, hey, I know you have beef with Kirk, but can we team with Kirk? And I told Kruniak, I was like, look, dude, it's your team as much as mine. If you want Kirk on there, then we'll get Kirk. That was literally the conversation I had with him. And so yeah, we had you join just so that like even though we were playing shorter player, at least it would be 8v7 instead of 7v6, which is a little bit easier. Like the player disadvantage is a little bit less, at least that way, relatively speaking. And they were allowed to play, I want to say it was like Adrenaline or something like that. So that's basically, that was the kind of the background behind that, yeah. Asmo, do you remember it different?
No, so yeah. So basically what happened is you guys were down a player. I think it was 6-7, and I was on MP as their captain. But I was missing like the majority of the finals because I had a different commitment, and then I ended up showing up late. And once I showed up, I was joining MP and it gave them 8 players, and because I was joining, Kirk was allowed to join.
Interesting. Yeah, I had no intention of, playing seriously or anything like that, and I thought it was kind of janky that anybody you just walk in off the street and play. But
Yeah.
hey, either way, I'll add another feather to my cap there. But I remember, I can't remember when King of the Map came out, but I remember there was one map that I played, and I only had like a couple Zerks or something, but like I had a really epic uh, flag contest like the whole game, and I think that was like the difference in the time for that game.
For that was in the 2018 finals.
Yeah,
Oh,
I think
nice.
so if I remember it.
Okay, nice. Yeah, we'll have to look at that when we get to it. I'm waiting for Dak to be present for that episode because him and I kind of were traumatized that year by the shit that went on. But anyway, we'll save that for then. Yeah, I guess we'll kind of wrap it up there. Unless is there any other closing comments by anybody before we kind of close the episode?
No, I mean, it was strong rosters from both teams, like very strong rosters. Just
Yeah.
there was a big gap in strategies in those games for sure.
I mean,
Same with Bullz.
up until that point, I mean, NC won the prior two MWCs, and they were about to three-peat. I don't think any teams ever three-peated in an MWC, but we just came along, stonewalled them, and that was pretty much the end of their reign.
Yeah, they kind of came back a little bit in 2013. They formed that TMNS team that like was like a merger of NC and NP together, I guess, kind of. But then they got massively upset that year. So even though that roster they had was monstrous, but again, strategy was their big weakness, and that's why they got upset. So they just have some monster rosters, tons of potential there, but they just can't quite organize it in the right way. All right, well, we'll leave it there. Kirk, thanks for joining us. I think you displayed like a very different side of your personality to the myth community in this episode, so I think everybody will appreciate that. And yeah, I mean, I do hope that maybe you can come to return to myth for some year, potentially. But I totally understand it if you can't though too. But obviously, you're a good player. Everybody would love to have you return, but. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I like getting on. I'd have to get in game shape again, I guess. But I mean, MWC is always during the summer. I'm always so busy during the summer and everything, and I hate to waste a day like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Like I don't know when you guys play these matches anymore, but it's hard to find time. The older you get.
Yeah, for sure. I totally hear you. All right. Hey, thanks everybody for watching, and until the next episode, see ya.
Yep, take it easy.
Thanks, guys. See you.
Later.